Welcome officially, Archie, to the Zoom room for another Ask Letting Go live session. Here we are again.
Great to be
So
here.
let's take a look at today's quote, which is a good one. They're always good, but this one is from Friedrich Nietzsche.
Yeah.
About purpose, really, fundamental purpose and meaning in life.
And he was another person that influenced Steiner as well.
And then we'll talk about some related ideas, and that'll lead us nicely into today's lesson, which is related, as they always are. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you. If you can just read that headline quote for us to kick it off, kindly.
Yep. So he who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow.
Quite profound from
Yeah.
a very well-respected German philosopher. He was also a prose poet. Maybe a prose poet anyway. That's an interesting one. I probably got that off Wikipedia. Prose poet, cultural critic, philologist, and a composer. So he was obviously quite a Renaissance man. But actually, he was quoted by Viktor Frankl a lot. So again, the Austrian neurologist and psychiatrist who survived 3 years of living in Nazi concentration camps to write the best-selling book Man's Search for Meaning, and also found the third Viennese school of psychology that he called logotherapy, which postulates that the search for meaning in life is the most important motivational force for human beings. Yeah. So his theory proposes a higher motivational force than mere desire for pleasure and to avoid pain. That was really Freud's idea, that we're motivated by pleasure and pain, which is true on a level, but it doesn't go deep enough, does it?
No.
It's kind of scratches the surface. Yes, superficially we avoid pain, we seek pleasure, but maybe there's something deeper. Why will people go through immense pain for some kind of transcendent meaning and purpose? And we were talking about the crucifixion just now. Why did Jesus decide to go through, horrific pain, suffering, surely if his only desire was to avoid pain, he would have just run away.
Yeah.
So there must have been something else motivating him, which of course is what people like Frankl and Carl Jung, who was Freud's associate, underling for a while, but then split off and went, there's something else here. There's something deeper than just pleasure and pain. The second Viennese school, incidentally, was formed by a guy called, another Austrian psychologist called Alfred Adler, whose whole theory was about power, right? This was the chief motivating force. We want power, personal power, power in our relationships, power in society, status. And again, there's truth to that, but it's not the only truth. It's a superficial truth. There's something deeper. And so this is what Frankl was looking for. And I guess through his experience, had to find it. He was like, well, if I don't find a transcendent meaning to this nightmare, then I'm not going to make it. And that's what enabled him to survive for 3 long, hard years.
Yeah.
In what you can only describe as hell on earth. I don't think there's anything, probably very few environments more hellish than a Nazi concentration camp for 3 years, where at any point, literally any day, any moment, a guard could just shoot you. It was like your life could just go. You just had no certainty whatsoever. The meaning that kept him going in hell for those 3 long years was his determination to write a book about his experience that would show people the transcendent meaning of it. So he conceived of this when he was there. He said, obviously he'd been working on these kinds of theories and ideas before, but they all catalyzed, and he had a lot of time to think, because other than doing hard labor, what else are you doing in a concentration camp? So one thing they can't stop you from doing is thinking. And that transcendent meaning inspired him to carry on and persevere and bring his experience to the world. In order to do that, he had to survive. And that's what he did. Wrote Man's Search for Meaning in 1946, year after the war ended. 80 years later, over 16 million copies sold. Fantastic book to read. I don't know if you've read it, but it's it's a classic. I mean, when I read it at a very young age. Actually, I was really touched. I was really moved. It was like, wow, there's something really, really profound here. That this guy's talking about. That goes, way beyond the ordinary. And so those kinds of books awaken something in you. That's more than just pleasure and pain, and more than just what's in it for me in life. Which is why they're valuable. So what can we learn from Frankl's experience and his theory of logotherapy? That perceiving your suffering correctly will empower you to transcend it and forge a life of meaning and fulfillment through service to others. Right? That was, which isn't exactly a new message, but he just reiterated this very ancient message. It goes back to Stoic times. The Stoics in the ancient world, in Greece and Roman times, were probably the first who went, okay, your suffering can actually be how you learn and grow and develop character. So welcome your suffering because it's teaching you something powerful. And in that understanding, then you have meaning and some sense of purpose and fulfillment in the suffering, and you're meant to transcend it and overcome it and use your experiences to serve others. So that's what Frankl obviously personally had to find. On the flip side of that idea of meaning through service, what he observed is that men would come into the same camps as him who didn't find any transcendent meaning. They just were form-based. They were like, this is absolute hell. There's no point in living. And in just a few months, he said he would just watch them waste away day by day. They'd come in, nothing wrong with them, fit, strong, healthy, and by 6 months later they'd die because they just didn't have anything within them that wanted to carry on living in that hell. They couldn't see any hope. So perceiving suffering incorrectly just amplifies your suffering, sucks all the meaning out of life, and that's the road to death. If you've got no meaning in life and you really don't want to live, then your mind will make your body sick, and you can literally exit in days, weeks. I remember reading a book about the Hawaiians, and one of them was like, right, it's time to die. And literally within 3 days, he died. He was perfect, nothing wrong with him. And then it was just like, okay, I've decided I've had enough. And his mind created that reality, and bang, on beliefs. They've done various trials. So for instance, I'll tell you a story I listened to on Rangan Chatterjee's podcast. There's this guy who thought he wanted to take an overdose, right? So he wants to end his life. He's like, I'm going to take an overdose of, he had some antidepressant medication or something. So he's like, right, I'm going to take the whole bottle, and this is going to do me in. And so he takes the whole bottle, and then 15 minutes later, he changes his mind. Oh dear, now I've taken the whole bottle. So then he's like, okay, but he's already getting the symptoms of an overdose. So then he staggers to his next door neighbor and says, I've just done this, please, take me to hospital. They take him in there. His body's shutting down. His organs are failing, all these signs. And then they say, look, have you got the bottle? So he had the wherewithal to take the bottle in. And they read it, and there was a number on there. And they phoned the number, and then they find out that it was actually part of a clinical trial, and he got the placebos. There wasn't actually any active ingredient. They weren't antidepressants. They were just whatever, sugar, water pills, whatever. They put in placebos with no effect. But he was having all these symptoms because he believed that he was going to die.
Yeah.
As soon as they told him, look, good news, mate. You're part of a placebo. There's nothing in those pills. Within 15 minutes, he was fine. So that just shows, I mean, the power of the mind is
Yeah.
phenomenal. He was convinced that he'd taken pills and that he was going to overdose, and then his mind creates the symptoms in the body. And then
Mm.
as soon as the belief changes, he's like,
Mm.
oh, okay, well, I'm a bit embarrassed, obviously. But no problem then, I'm fine. 15 minutes later, half an hour later, he's discharged from the hospital. And he's like showing all these symptoms, thinking like, is he going to make it through the night? And then bang, belief changes.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. I mean, the power of the mind.
Yeah. But how did
Uh,
it go longer term for him though? Because if he was taking those, did he manage to cure his depression then?
I don't know. I don't know the end of the story. It was just
Yeah.
that particular incident. He probably felt like an idiot, and then
Yeah.
maybe it went like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. That was stupid because it just like ended up causing myself and a lot of other people a lot of inconvenience. I ended up looking like an idiot, and it was over a breakup or something. He'd broken up with his wife or girlfriend
Mm.
or something like that. So get a grip. Life
Mm.
goes on. I don't know. Maybe he tried again. Maybe he didn't. The chap who told the story didn't elaborate. It was just
Yeah.
the point is the power of belief
Yeah.
is so powerful. And, there's many other instances of that, over and over. And like, for instance, in a sporting context, I'll tell you this story. There was a year when Serena Williams was playing Wimbledon. She was favourite to win, but she just lost her confidence at net, so she wasn't going to net anymore, and that was, costing her. She was really struggling. So her coach goes, "Okay, well, I'm just going to tell her a lie." He said, "Serena, when you go to the net, you won 80% of your points." And she's like, "Oh, really?
Mm.
Okay, well, I better start doing that." So she does that. She ends up winning 80% of her points at the net because she has the ability,
Mm.
wins Wimbledon, and then finds out that it was a lie.
Yeah.
It just wasn't true. He made up the stat. It was complete fiction. He just made it up because he knew that she was capable of that.
Yeah.
So it was almost like, well, you had to believe it, and then the reality came because you believed it,
Yeah.
and you had to do something to shift you out of your, negative belief system. So over and over and over, these examples are there in so many contexts of how the mind plays such a powerful role. So if your mind doesn't have any transcendent meaning, then how can you expect to be inspired?
Yeah.
How can you expect to have an inspired life?
Mm.
If life is just about what I can get now in terms of avoiding pleasure, avoiding pain and seeking pleasure.
Mm.
So you might say, okay, so how could this actually, work in practice? Well, the best way to start, the best point to start at is your biggest trauma or pain point
Mm.
in life, and work on changing your perception of it. So some people have had like a major trauma, they've had cancer, or someone has died, or they've had a dread disease, or they've had a car accident, or they've been burnt as a kid. I watched a movie called what was it called, about a kid who had incredible burns when he was a child messing around with petrol.
Yeah.
And yet, it defined his life. He used that experience to become a best-selling author, motivational speaker, etc. Which none of that would have happened if he hadn't had that horrific experience and then, burned to the point of near death. So you start there, and if you see it as an experience designed to teach you how to help others avoid or transcend their own suffering, then it takes on meaning. It was your learning. You had to go through that in order to be helpful to others. So your higher purpose is to follow the path that helps you to overcome those weaknesses and heal your pain by letting it go in the quickest way possible for you. Once you've done that, you help others, and often those two emerge together. As you're overcoming your own pain, you're also helping others.
Yeah.
So our higher purpose is often inspired by our most traumatic or difficult experiences. If you look at the example of Alcoholics Anonymous, it's a classic
Mm.
example, so I'll tell it briefly. It's a guy called Bill Wilson, who was one of the founders. He was an alcoholic, a lifelong alcoholic, admitted to hospital for the fourth time after another bout of binge drinking. in November 1934. And at that point, there wasn't really any treatment for alcoholism. People were just like, well, we can't really do anything. It's just a matter of willpower. You guys have got no willpower. And most alcoholics died eventually. They just drank themselves to death. So he's in hospital, drinking buddy who'd managed to stay sober for a few weeks with the help of a Christian revivalist organization called the Oxford Group. Interesting, you mentioned Oxford just now. There's another synchronicity. Visited him and tried to persuade him to turn himself over to the care of a Christian deity that this Oxford group had identified, which would have been an aspect of God, but it was some kind of saint or something like that, who would liberate him from his alcohol addiction. So he then turned himself over. He's depressed, despairing, suffering from delirium tremens, which is where you have severe withdrawal from alcohol. He just went, I'll do anything, like anything at all. If there be a God, let him show himself. And then he had this spiritual experience, saw a bright light, experienced a feeling of ecstasy, profound serenity, what we'd call a revelation, an epiphany, a moment of satori, insight in the East, whatever you want to call it. But clearly something shifted, and that was the turning point. Once he'd seen that, he was like, there's something else other than drinking, other than alcohol. There's something that transcends that, and that transcendent power then helped him to quit drinking for the rest of his life. But the next year, he was very tempted to go and have a drink. He'd had a failed proxy fight while he was on a business trip in Ohio, and you know what happens when it's like failure. It's just I need a drink, man. And he's like, no. If you go in there and you have one drink, then it's the end, right? That's what happens if you're an alcoholic. Then he knows he's gonna be totally drunk by the end of the night, and then he's not sober anymore, and he's got to start again. So he was like, okay, I need to remain sober. I need to help someone else. I need to go and teach them this, rather than going and drowning my sorrows. So he called several phone numbers and a church directory, and he was eventually introduced to this guy called Bob Smith, who was an alcoholic surgeon. I'm just turning off my phones. He was an alcoholic surgeon, also who'd been admitted for binge drinking and so on. And he shared this theory that actually it's not a disease. It's not just a sin. It's a disease. And there's something chemically wrong with alcoholics. It means that they've got no off switch. Like they don't, after one or two drinks, they don't go, okay, hang on, that's enough. Actually, they just want more. They just crave more and more the more they drink. And that has actually been proven now that they process alcohol differently.
Yeah.
So by helping himself, he helped himself to stay sober. He helped another, and that act of love is what gave birth to Alcoholics Anonymous, which has helped millions of alcoholics worldwide to overcome their addiction, and in fact is still the kind of the gold standard, as I believe, in overcoming alcoholic addiction. And they use a 12-step program that's very much around God.
Yeah, well, it's all about one of the steps is to surrender, isn't it, to God?
Yeah. We can have a look there. Put a link. I actually went to an AA meeting once because I was fascinated, not because I don't actually drink, but I was just really interested in what the process was. And it was a guy who I knew from squash who was an alcoholic said, okay, well, look, come along. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll come along and listen. So interesting, the 12 steps, very similar to the course methodology. The first thing is you've got to admit, look, I have a problem here. If I don't admit I'm an alcoholic and I have a problem with alcohol, then I can't move forward. So they admit that we're powerless over alcohol, our lives have become unmanageable. Okay, I've got a problem. Then that there's a power greater than ourselves that can help us. So you're acknowledging that presence of God or some other power. They don't call it God. Well, actually they do, but there they call it power, which is interesting. And make a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him, however that is. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. So it's like, okay, I have to be really honest with myself. Yes, I've made mistakes. I've hurt myself. I've hurt others. But it starts with that. Right? If you're in denial, then that doesn't work. There's no healing. But again, Jungian psychotherapy. You got to bring the darkness to the light of awareness. admitting the nature of our wrongs, entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. So there's a turning over. Humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings, made a list of all the persons we had harmed, became willing to make amends to them all. So there's forgiveness there, making direct amends wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Continue to take personal inventory when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. So, there's a lot of humility here. So through prayer and meditation, interesting they bring in meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So in step 12 is like, we've got to teach it in order to really entrench it. And they won't, interestingly, let anyone speak or teach at an AA meeting unless they have been an alcoholic, because you just don't understand.
Yeah.
You can't really teach anyone if you haven't walked in their shoes. So that's one of the reasons why it's been successful. But very, very much around God, surrender to God, forgiveness. These are all spiritual principles which help people to overcome this very debilitating addiction. I'm just very glad I don't actually drink at all, because it's never really worked for me. But to have an addiction like that is very debilitating, and it's really a call for healing.
Yeah.
Alcohol becomes the false god, like anything else.
Yeah.
Instead of honoring God, alcohol becomes the most important thing in your life, and that's the real problem. The side effects of alcohol, obviously they're not good for your body, but it's a false worship of a false idol in your life that becomes the God, which then means your mind is not in tune with its true source, and then you suffer all the effects of separation. So as I said, it's one of the key steps, one of the 12th step, because as Yeshua teaches in the introduction to the Manual for Teachers, you want to read that? Purpose of the course.
The purpose of the course might be said to provide you with a means of choosing what you want to teach on the basis of what you want to learn.
So teaching and learning are really two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
If you want to really learn something, then you need to teach it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No doubt. My own experience of when I didn't teach, there was a few years when I didn't teach, and I really missed it. It was like I'm missing this. As soon as I started to teach this seriously, when I launched the program in 2018, there's no doubt that it took my own spiritual awakening to another level. And sometimes you teach stuff, and I'm like, oh, where's this coming from?
Yeah.
I don't even know. It's spontaneously arising. So I'm really teaching the Holy Spirit channeling through me, and I'm teaching myself in my own words. And of course, the more you speak it, the more you're like, okay, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. And also you have to be integrous to it. You can't be a total hypocrite and go, okay, I'm going to teach all this stuff, and then I'm not going to live by it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're a fraud. You're an imposter, which does happen quite a lot. There are many of those, but I don't think that's an easy. It's not an easy path to walk. Alan Watts, in fact, by his own admission, he said, I'm a fraud.
Oh, really?
He admitted it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because he didn't live it. He could teach it. He knew the ideas. Yeah. Well, he was an alcoholic.
Because he's one again that, sort of so many spiritual teachers, kind of quote, if you like, well, not quote, but say that he was such an influence on them. So
there's no doubt he knew the truth.
Yeah.
He'd made a deep study of all the Eastern teachings. Brought it to the West. He was an amazing speaker.
Yeah.
So what he communicated wasn't untrue. It was true, but he couldn't live it.
Right. Okay.
He was an alcoholic himself. He died at 58 of alcohol-related conditions. He drank himself to death. Basically, he had 3 marriages which failed. All of them. So he couldn't live it, which is why, in his he would say like I'm a fraud. But I'm
Yeah.
a sincere fraud because at least I'm trying. At least I'm admitting
Yeah.
I'm fraud.
Yes.
At least I'm admitting, yes, I
Yeah.
don't live this
Okay, I didn't
properly.
know that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, because what he lacked was discipline.
Mm.
What Alan Watts lacked, he knew the teachings,
Mm.
amazing intellect, very bright, but he lacked the mental and emotional discipline in his
Mm.
own life to apply
Mm.
them, because
Yeah.
that's what it's required. So,
Yeah.
okay, if you're really going to walk the path, then give up alcohol, right? This is not advised if you're going to awaken. Alcohol is not going to help your spiritual awakening, but he couldn't. He was too, obviously, he liked, he's probably quite social. I think he was actually, he was definitely on the spectrum.
Mm.
So the spectrum, it would have loosened him up. He would have
Mm.
then become more socially comfortable.
Mm.
Imagine he probably had people around to his, he had a houseboat in Sausalito in California. You can imagine the wine probably
Mm.
flowed, and then he would he would probably hold forth, and he was probably really eloquent, even when he was completely
Mm.
pissed. And some great times, no doubt, were had, but the
Mm.
problems was all related to alcohol, which eventually killed him.
Mm.
Whereas the strict yogic tradition is like no intoxicants, right? That's one of the five things of Buddhist practice is like get rid of the intoxicants, drugs,
Yeah.
alcohol,
Yeah.
because it doesn't help you awaken. It actually blocks
Yeah.
your awakening. You can't get a kundalini rising if
Yeah.
you've got all these substances that are blocking it and you're attached to them.
Yeah.
So what he lacked was the discipline to
Mm.
carry it through, to say, yeah, okay, I will be
Mm.
self-disciplined enough to live these teachings and allow this divine energy to really use me. I'm
Mm.
completely surrendering to the divine, which means it's not my will but thy will. Like
Mm.
whatever you want. But there are not many people who are able to do that. The ego still has quite a hold on them. So
Mm.
doesn't mean that what Alan Watts did was all wrong and all
Mm.
false. He taught the truth, but he just couldn't live it.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can take that truth and say, okay, how can I live it? And then what comes into it is it's not just knowledge, it's the practice. You got
Mm.
to practice.
Yeah.
That's probably what he's lacking. He was very much of the school of thought, well, it's the pathless path, it's wu wei, there's no way, it just is. So when people said, give me a technique, he would always say, there is no technique, just be who you are,
Mm.
which is all very well when you're enlightened. You're
Mm.
like, okay, well, I get it. But until you're
Mm.
there, like, well, how do I get there? Right. So
Mm.
there's the paradox.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. So I need some way there. Just don't get attached to the way there, because then the way there becomes another block. So, it's subtle. If you
Mm.
get too attached to the way there, then you never get there, because
Mm.
you're not opening to the truth. So you need both. You need a
Mm.
way there, and then you also need to be able to let go eventually of the way. So like at some point, I don't need the way anymore, because
Mm.
I've arrived home. I don't need the signposts on the journey when I'm home.
Yeah.
But while I'm on the journey, then I still need the signposts. So there's a
Yeah.
paradox in any of these teachings. There's a fundamental paradox. That paradox is managed by saying, well, everything's a process, everything's a journey, and I am where I am. And right now, it's, some processes, techniques, these are helpful, they're appropriate. But there will come a time where they're not anymore. And then I need to be willing to let them go
Mm.
as well. So that's how you manage. And when you get the guidance to let them go, you'll get it.
Mm.
And then you just got to trust that. And if I think of my own journey, I've had many practices I've done. And then
Mm.
at a point, some of them I just let go of. And I'm going, well,
Yeah.
why did I? Because something in me was like, well, kind of been there, done that. It's
Mm.
not really serving me anymore. I
Yeah.
need to free up time and energy and space for something else.
Yeah.
And then you let go of that,
Yeah.
but I might have done it, sometimes for years. And then it's just like
Mm.
suddenly you just feel like it's not really resonating anymore. So
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
to, I need to just kind of, and it just fades away,
Yeah. Yeah.
and is then replaced by something else. And
Yeah.
I think unless you're willing to do that, you can get very then fixated on the way.
Yeah.
What happens to a lot of people, spiritual seekers, they go, this is the way, and I'm doing this for 25 years, and this is the only way. It's like, hang on, maybe you need to consider something else. Move on. And then I remember the Vipassana retreat I went on. This lady who was teaching it, been doing Vipassana for 25 years, meditating for 6 hours a day.
Wow.
For 25 years. Yeah, 4 to 6 hours a day, doing 30-day, 10-day, 30-day, 60-day silent retreats. And I was like, okay, but and then I'm speaking to her, I'm like, but I don't think you really get it. I don't, like, you're not enlightened, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So clearly, like, actually maybe the best thing she could have done was say, look, I'm not going to do that anymore for a while. I'm going to let go of the practice and open my mind, just try and be for a bit, just try not meditating for a week and see what happens.
Yeah.
That might have been, quite a good thing, because the practice becomes its own obstacle. And that, that in fact, that was the Buddha taught the middle way. He said, if you get too obsessed with the practice, it becomes a block and an obstacle, and you'll never get there. So all of this focus on, oh no, I've got to do so many hours, and the more hours that I do, the more enlightened I am, and the harder it is. She was very like, oh yeah, but it's the toughest meditation in the world. I'm like, so what is this, like some kind of spiritual boot camp then? No, it's going to be like really tough, and it's got to really hurt to have benefit. But that's exactly what the Buddha said don't do.
Yeah.
So they're actually gone against his teachings, and I'm like, but often people who are so into it don't see it. So I asked her a question in one of because they had Q&A sessions at the end of the day. I said, so is there a danger that you become too attached to the practice itself? And she didn't like the question, I could tell. And she was like, no danger of that. I'm like, that was way too quick an answer. No danger of that. Well, actually there is, because I can see the danger, like I can see it demonstrated in you. You got too attached to the practice. Practice has become your God, and you've forgotten that it's just a means, it's a way to an end. Because I said to her, and I had a one-on-one with her, I said to her, well, what about God then? Where does that come into it? And she was like, because she said everything's impermanent, right? That's the Buddhist teaching, Nietzsche, everything's impermanent. And I said, well, okay, everything in this world, this is a world of illusion.
Yeah.
But what about, the permanent eternal presence that all the teachers have called God? What about that then? Where does that come into? Oh, well, I know about that. Yes. And I know I'm connected with it. I'm like, you know what I mean? When it just doesn't come across as authentic, it's like, oh, okay, well, I've sort of made a bit of a faux pas, so now I've got to like cover over. But she got so like into there's only illusion, there's only the impermanent, that you've forgotten that there's something permanent underneath that. Being aware of the impermanent is not the end game. It's to realize that, yes, this is impermanent, so I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to open my mind to what is permanent and eternal and true. And if you don't do that, then the practice becomes another block to your awakening.
Yeah.
So that can happen. So to go back to the AA program, it's just another form of this universal curriculum that is the hero's journey back to God, or what we call the pure formless awareness of perfect love. And this is actually worth reading. We'll just have a quick look at it. Manual for Teachers. This talks about the characteristics of God's teachers, and it talks about the development of trust in that, which is essentially the course of spiritual journey. So this is his version of the hero's journey, which starts with a period of undoing, where things just all go pear-shaped, and you like, oh, what the hell's happening to my life? And it's all being undone, and this is terrible, and the ego doesn't like it. But actually, that is the stripping away of the ego. So you've got to learn that actually this is all actually beneficial for my awakening. It's all meant to happen. It's not that I'm being punished, it's that I'm being awakened. The next stage is a period of sorting out, where you have to sort out what's helpful and what's not, and what's valuable and what's valueless. And to really just understand that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. That's quite learning. It's quite a serious learning there.
Yeah.
All things.
All things.
All things. No exception, right? So not some things that are nice. No, all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. So the most horrific thing, the crucifixion, being in a Nazi concentration camp for 3 years. And by the way, Viktor Frankl's entire family was murdered.
Yes. Yeah.
Just a sort of minor detail there. So like everyone he knows and loves is gone.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even know that because they've gone to another camp. He doesn't even know if they're alive or not. He assumes they're dead, but he doesn't know. Just that's helpful, and it was in his awakening, and to bring the message that he was destined to bring to the world. It was very helpful, but brutal. At the time, it's like, oh, do I really have to go through this? Well, yes, he obviously did. That was his part. We don't all have to go through such horrific experiences, fortunately. But whatever your cross is to bear, then that's what you must do. And it's only to the extent to which they are helpful that any degree of reality should be accorded them in this world of illusion. The word value can apply to nothing else. And the third stage is the period of relinquishment. So this is where you're giving up what you valued. This is one of the hardest stages because you think, oh, but there's some good stuff. I like that. That was important to me. We talked about this.
Yeah.
But the more you give up on these things, the more you actually find, but did I really need those? Did they really add value to my life? Actually, I feel lighter, I feel clearer. As he says, a happy lightheartedness instead of grief, where he thought something was asked of him, he finds a gift bestowed on him. So three stages of a lot of letting go, right? And these all sort of happen simultaneously. This is really where the awakening starts. And for most people, often they don't get beyond this because they just get too attached and they don't really want to let go. So if you refuse to let go, then you don't move beyond stage 1 or 2 because you never learn that lesson that all things are helpful. That's the perennial philosophy. That's the Stoic philosophy. Okay, as difficult as it is, it's helpful for my awakening. So why am I resisting it? It's actually all good.
Yeah.
And then the fourth stage is a period of settling down. So you have a little bit of peace. This is a calm period in which I rest in relative peace for a while. In reasonable peace, as Jesus nourished. So after all the difficulty, there's a period of respite. But this is often where people are like, oh, I'm so enlightened, it's all cool, sun shines out of every orifice. I'm so, all of spiritual ego comes in. So that's another stage you have to go through and realizing, okay, this isn't the end game. Yes, I've attained something, but it's not the end. I've still got quite a lot more to go. Then the fifth stage is another period of unsettling where you must understand that you didn't really have a clue. You didn't really know what was valuable or valueless. You're like, okay, like actually, I was clueless, didn't really know what was valuable or valueless. All of my own judgments have been meaningless, so I'm just going to give up on this game of judgment because it's pointless. I'm clueless, and I must learn to suspend all judgment and ask only for what I truly want in every circumstance. So that's a massive learning. Suspend all judgment. Okay, so my ego then is out of business. I'm not judging anymore.
Yeah.
Because we all judge. We have our but why is this person doing that? How dare they? Like why are they doing this thing, right? I didn't just on and on we go. It's like no, all of that's got to stop. So that just undoes all that judgment activity of the ego, which is how it carries on surviving. And then he says, this would be significantly difficult, extremely difficult if you didn't have support. So you're getting support, you're getting guidance from the Holy Spirit, you're getting support from miracles, agents in the world, guides, helpers, mentors. These things come along to help you to help you on the path to make, that final leap into a period of achievement, which is the enlightened stage. We're like, yeah, I've dropped all my judgment. There's no longer a separate self-concept. In other words, the ego's collapsed, and I'm just living in the flow of life. I'm living in Wu Wei, as the Taoists would call it. I'm living in this flow. I'm living in miracles. Everything just flows. Unity awareness. The stage that, say, Yeshua reached, the Buddha reached, which is quite rare. Not an easy achievement, but it is possible. That's why Alan Watts said, I'm a fraud, because he realized he wasn't there. Maybe he had moments of it, but not there consistently, because you need a lot of discipline to stay there. The level of mind control, mental, physical, emotional discipline, you have to be continuously disciplined to stay there, because if you're not, ego is going to take you out of it.
Yeah.
And you don't stay there. You get little glimpses, little tastes, but then you're going to be sucked back into the ego. So, which is really, I think it's good news. It's like, well, with enough discipline, you can do it. Anyone can do it. It's not rocket science. It just requires a willingness. You don't have to be the brightest. You don't have to be the most intellectually gifted. You don't have to be a great orator. You just have to have the mental discipline to say, above all else, this is what I want. Above all else. And that's a decision we can all make. And so I'm willing to, relinquish these pleasures of the world, because they're actually meaningless in the grand scheme of awakening and enlightenment. What is something like alcohol or anything, any substance, any special relationship, any material thing, any food, any material possession, any career, I'm like, what does it really have to offer when I could have the divine itself, this pure formless awareness of perfect love that offers me a perfect, peaceful experience for all eternity? I mean, nothing really comes close to it, right?
Yeah.
These are all very temporary. They're going to be up and down. We get something, and then our state changes for a bit, and then it's going to revert. We all know how the ego works. Yes, high followed by low, followed by high, followed by low, and maybe another low, then a bit, etc. It's certainly not bliss. It's not staying at that, that very high kind of peaceful, blissful state. That requires a lot of mental discipline to stay there. Fortunately, you can do it. The techniques are there, the practices are there. Okay, will you apply yourself above all else? That's all I want. Or are you going to let your mind get distracted into lower order concerns? So yeah, there's a little well worth reading, and we will cover it later in the program. But I refer to these things as and when they're relevant. So playing the victim of external circumstances projected by your mind is really the lowest self-concept you can have, and the height of self-deception, because it denies your true identity as omnipotent and omniscient love. So if we have a look at probably my favorite diagram of all of them, I think, Descent into Hell, which doesn't actually come from me. It comes from Ken Wapnick, but I thought it needs to be put into diagrammatic form. He gave a series of lectures on it, and I'm like, okay, like really interesting. But if you put it into a diagram, it's going to be even more powerful, because now people can actually visualize it and see it. The lowest self-concept, where you go at the bottom of the ladder of separation, is the victim identity. Can't really get any lower than that. You're saying, I'm not who I am. I'm subject to all the laws of time and space, which seem to be constantly threatening me, my peace of mind, my health, my well-being. Limitation, lack, loneliness, suffering, and inevitably death are my fate, because I believe I'm this helpless, enervated little life living in a body, and I'm fighting all these battles against all these horrible people in this world that's out to get me. The very, very low, limited self-concept that inevitably leads to death and suffering, and that self-concept can create nothing else. So there's no hope for the victim identity. It just has to be let go of. And you have to realize this is a complete delusion. If I'm pure formless awareness of perfect love, all awareness, completely infinite, eternal, unlimited, all powerful, beyond death, how can I be a victim? the two completely contradict each other. So you have to choose. It's one or the other. I'm either a victim or I'm God. There's really no in between here, which it means that it's very clear. Okay, there's a very stark choice. It's this or that. You can't reconcile them. Make your choice. When you really understand how this thought system works, who in their right mind would choose it?
Yeah.
You'd have to be completely insane.
Yeah.
To choose it consciously. The reason why we've chosen it is because we're not conscious. We don't know what's really going on. We've forgotten. We think we're a victim of an external world because that's what it seems to be, but we've forgotten that we did it to ourselves because we decided to separate and create a separate identity. That's the part the ego doesn't tell us. So, you did it to yourself, and now you're suffering because of your own decision, which means, if you understand that, you can't be a victim because it was your own decision to suffer.
Yes.
So change your mind there. You can't be a victim if you decided, and you can change your mind. That's clearly nonsensical. But you see, the illusion makes you seem to be a victim. Very convincing. Like, oh, okay, there are these awful people out there, and they're out to get you, and the world is a harsh place, and now you're living in this very helpless, innovative little form you call a life, and this unfortunately is predominantly the human condition. Most people live as a victim. Most of their life, variations on a theme. They live and they die as victims, and they never awaken for that reason, which is a bit sad. But we all have a choice. They do have the choice to transcend that and make another choice, which we all we all have that choice. It's not an easy choice to make, but when you think of the choice of the victim identity, that is the hardest choice you'll ever make. That isn't like, okay, I'm condemning myself to pain, misery, suffering, and death, and there's no hope. That's essentially what you're saying when I choose a victim identity. So who in their right mind would choose that? Well, no one in their right mind would choose it. That's the whole idea. You only choose it when you're in your wrong mind, which is why Yeshua has to educate us and say, look, I've got to tell you how this whole thing works, because otherwise you're going to keep making this insane choice. I've got to tell you that it's insane. I've got to show you very clearly why it's insane, and then you're going to change your mind of itself. I don't need to tell you to change your mind. You're going to do it because you're going to realize it makes no sense whatsoever, and that you're just hurting yourself. That image of the hitting your head against the brick wall. I'm just hitting my head against the brick wall. I'm hurting, I'm bleeding, I'm suffering, and I'm blaming the wall, but actually it's me who's hitting my head against it. So I can't really blame anyone except myself. All right, so that leads us quite nicely into today's. This, by the way, is interesting session to listen to on how to find your higher purpose. So a good podcast to listen to.
I listened to part of it actually.
Yeah,
the beginning part, because it's over 2 hours long. So I listened to about an hour of it this morning, and I was going to finish off.
Yeah, great. When you have a chance, just like a personal story, and I find that that these discussions and personal sessions bring the theory to life.
Exactly.
Okay, so how does this come to life? Okay, I can see how it applies in someone else's life. Just Phil again, all things work for good. He's had his leg ripped off. In an accident in the Zambezi, like pretty horrific. Nearly died, got pulled out of there. You're like, okay, so he's only got one leg, but he would not have become a Paralympic archer and done now what he's done if that hadn't happened. So, I said to him, would you, knowing what you had to go through, knowing where you are now, would you have still chosen it? Would you have chosen it? He said, at the time, he said, no way. But he said, now looking back, he said, I needed a wake up call. I was doing a lot of things that weren't conscious. He said, I may well be dead if that hadn't happened to me. I could have killed myself doing whatever unconscious stuff, drugs and alcohol and partying and all that. I could have done that easily. So that was my wake up call. So okay, I had to lose a leg. It's quite harsh, but my life is the better for it. So in the end, it's the it's not about the form. It's about the awakening to who you really are. And for some people have to become disabled to do that, and others don't. It just depends on your individual life, your karma, and what your journey is here. There are easier ways to learn, but when you're really lost, sometimes you need a big smack. You need a clap. It's like, wow, okay, like wake up call, because if I don't wake up now, then it's only going to get more severe. Like, so I've had a few in my life. If you look back at them, I'm going, yeah, although they were difficult, I'm really glad they happened. Just over a year ago, I went into hospital for a couple of days because I thought I had a stroke. It actually was a hemiplegic migraine. So, no harm done really, but I'd gone out of alignment. There were things that weren't quite right in my diet, in my lifestyle. And it was like, okay, well, you're going to get a little bit of a clap because you need to look at that and you need to correct it. Otherwise, without the wake up call, well, why would you change? I was like, oh, well, it's all okay. I'm doing my thing, etc. But it's like the frog boiling in water. You don't know what you're doing until you go, that really hurt. So although it was one of the most painful things I've ever had, it was like excruciatingly painful. In hindsight, I'm like, wow, I got away lightly. It was a little bit of pain. I had a recurrence a few times, but not for a year now, because I just changed my diet, change some habits, like, okay, just don't take your health for granted. Because for years I've just gone, I can pretty much, my health's always been good. I can push it and push it and push it and draw and draw and draw. And then, if you keep doing that, eventually you can't do it anymore. You're running on empty. So, I got away lightly because it wasn't a stroke, nothing severe really happened, but what didn't have to be a stroke, fortunately, and I made full recovery and everything. But I listened. Like, okay, so I got to pay attention to this. What's it telling me? Too many people don't listen. I think of my brother, for instance. He's got cancer, gone down the road of some chemo, radiotherapy, etc. But still just eating a load of rubbish. I'm like, that's just, what are you doing? There's no change in habits, no change in lifestyle. So what do you expect? That it's just going to go away? Or, you're inviting it back. And then, once it's in your system, you've got to be, really, really vigilant. Vigilance. People who overcome cancer are the ones who are like, okay, it's a wake-up call. I've got to catch a wake-up. I've got to do some stuff. I've got to change my mind, got to change my lifestyle, change my habits. Those ones are the ones who survive. People are like, oh, well, fine. I'm already fine. The chemo's cured me. Like, which is sad, but you can't change someone's mind. It's like he's going to do what he's going to do. So obviously a more severe wake up call needs to happen, and maybe some people never wake up. They just don't get it. They're not willing to the discipline again. It's like, I'd rather eat all this unhealthy food than have a healthy mind and a healthy body. That's the choice. In the end, which we all have to make. And unfortunately, too many people they go for the easy option, but ultimately you don't feel great. I know when, like, if I fasted for 16 hours, 24 hours, I feel great, feel really good, light, clean, clear. So like I do it because it makes me feel good. Yes, there's a little bit of hunger, but that sensation is nothing compared to the clarity and the peace and the focus and etc. of what it gives me. So it's learning to value different things and training your mind. Now I only have cold showers. I only have cold showers ever because like I've actually just trained myself to go, like, I prefer that. I have a hot shower and I'm like, oh, that's a bit uncomfortable actually. I prefer the cold even in winter. So it just shows you, it's just a mindset. You're like, oh, most people are like, oh my God, cold shower, that's terrible. But you can train your mind to go, no, that's actually preferable to a hot shower because it's just sensation. If you train yourself. So, these are the kinds of the mind training that makes a difference. If you do these things, it makes a profound difference to your life. If you stack them all up, let's say you do some intermittent fasting, you do cold showers, you do meditation and breath work, you exercise properly. I do HIIT training once a week, a couple of walks a week. And you put all these things together and you start stacking them up. Suddenly, you've got a very, very different life from someone who's not doing all those things.
Yeah.
Makes a little difference, but add it all up makes a massive difference. If I compare myself to my brother, like I'm 18 years older than him, 18 months older than him, but probably biologically I'm 10 to 15 years younger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because of the choices that I've made consistently throughout my life. And he hasn't made those choices. He's made opposite choices. Oh, yeah, rabbit food and, eat just like eating rubbish. I'm like, well, okay, you can laugh all you want, but you're going to pay the price because you're putting all that rubbish into your body. And then, what's going to come out? Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
So all of this does make a difference. These ideas, the key thing from today's learning, if you can get this, Archie, is that it's application. You have to apply. The theory is all well and good. Alan Watts, he knew the theory inside out. He could speak eloquently without a note for 90 minutes. He was extremely erudite, but he didn't live it. So then what is it really helping you?
Yeah.
If you don't actually live the teachings and you just speak them. Same Helen Schuckman, who was the scribe of A Course in Miracles. She didn't live it by own admission. So I can't do this. I can't live it. It's too much for me. My ego is too strong. I know it's the truth, but I can't accept it. So I don't believe in my own life's work. Well, that's a massive internal contradiction.
Yes.
And needless to say, she died of cancer.
Yeah.
Internal contradiction, internal conflict.
Yeah.
She couldn't accept her own life's work.
Yeah.
Well, what's that going to do to you internally and the integrity of your energy system? And it's no wonder you get cancer.
Yeah.
So not all these people can do it. It's because it's not easy. So don't put anyone on a pedestal. Just go, look, Alan Watts did what he did. That was the best he could do in that lifetime. No doubt he'll come back with a lot of knowledge in another one, and then maybe he'll go, okay, maybe in this one I'm going to learn to conquer my addictions. I won't become an alcoholic. Maybe that's my learning. I won't be a great spiritual teacher and teach it. I'll just actually apply it to my life and live a sober, disciplined life. Which would be an advance on his previous one, even though no one would have known him.
Yeah.
So these are the. It's interesting, isn't it? Just to consider how it all works and how it fits together, and then for you to say, okay, how can I learn from this? How can I learn from all these people, all their experiences, apply it to my life to help my awakening?
Yeah.
All right, so that leads us nicely into our we're actually in the session now. So, did you watch The Shift over the weekend?
No, I was quite busy over the weekend with the retreat. So no.
Yeah, have you watched it before?
I have, yes.
Yeah,
it was quite a few years ago now. So
definitely worth watching again. But
I would like to watch it again.
Presumably remember it.
Yeah.
What struck me so much about that was that what serves you in the morning of your life does not serve you in the afternoon of your life. That, by the way, is a quote from Carl Jung.
Yes. Yeah, I'm familiar with that, actually. The various stages of life. Yeah.
So there's a shift that has to take place, and you have to, what worked once upon a time, it's not always going to work. You have to learn and grow as you grow older.
Yeah.
Shift from ambition to meaning, which we have to make at some point in our lives. I just consider myself blessed because I made that shift when I was in my late 20s. So a lot of people only make that shift in their 40s or 50s. But because of a dramatic failure, I was like, I had to question the whole construct of what I'd been doing up to then, which was ambition led. It's like, I want to be a champion squash player. I want to be the greatest. Dedicate my life to that. And then you fail miserably, and that's the best lesson I could have had.
Yeah.
Going back, would I have going back now, would I have wanted to become world champion? And
Mm.
I think the answer is no, actually.
Mm. Mm.
At the time, that was my greatest desire. This was going to be, this is going to make my life. And I had it all planned.
Mm.
I'd be a world champion for a few years, and then I'd go and become a motivational speaker because I could then speak about what I'd done. And, but it was all ego. It was all ego based.
Yeah.
But I didn't
Yeah.
understand that at the time. That just seemed like a worthy sort of purpose to give my life to, but it wasn't really. And it did create a lot of anxiety. There was always like, oh, your entire life rests on you being number one in the sport.
Mm.
That's a pretty precarious position to be in, because what if I'm not number one? What if I'm number 2 or number 5 or number 10 or even worse, number 116, which is the highest world ranking I got to? And I'm not even in the top 20 in my own country. Like, then it's like really humbling. But I'm really glad that I went through all that, because it made me realize the flaw in the entire thought system.
Yeah.
All of that, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, the growth model, really, because that's what we buy into when we start on this path. I was like, well, maybe the model's wrong. Maybe like there's something just fundamentally off with it. And I did consider maybe I haven't failed. Maybe the model, the thought system has failed me. Okay, that definitely warrants some investigation. I need to explore that, and I need to explore other models. Okay, so maybe there's other theories and other models, and obviously then that opened me up to this much more spiritual way. I started reading books like The Power of Now, which had just come out at that point, and you're going, wow, this is teaching me something completely different. And ultimately, they don't really reconcile. Eckhart's saying, don't visualize, don't set goals, because it's just be now. And all these others are going, no, you have to have a goal, you have to have a mission, and you got to, it's all achievement based. I'm like, well, clearly, they're contradicting each other, so got to make a choice here. But you go with what speaks to you in your heart. The Power of Now spoke to me. I'm like, yeah, there's something really profound here. Something like, and I'm awakening to something beyond what I've known. I realized I hadn't lived. Power of Now was extraordinary. It was like I've been living in the past or the future, mostly the future, my whole life.
Yeah.
So actually, have I even been living? Because it's always been, oh, but when I get there, when I do that, when I achieve this great goal of being a champion. So from the age of about 12, 13, I formulated that goal. That's the moment I stopped living in the now, and I started living in the future, because it was like, right, this goal becomes primary. And I remember one Christmas, and this is the crazy kind of stuff. It's not competitive, it's the off season. I was invited to go water skiing, and I'm like, no, I've got to train. This is like Christmas Eve or something. I'm like, ridiculous. Just like let it go and go and have some fun and relax. But I'm like, no, because that future goal overrides the present moment.
Yeah.
So I know how this system works, because I've done it for many years. And did it bring me great happiness and joy? No, not really. I had a purpose, but eventually the purpose led me to despair. I was like, well, it's just all been a complete failure. I've spent 15 years pursuing this purpose, and I got absolutely nowhere. Well, very, not very far. But I didn't get nowhere, because in the process of pursuing that purpose, I learned some really good things. Meditation. I learned to breathe through my nose. I actually developed all of the foundations that I needed for spiritual awakening. I just didn't know I was doing that. I thought I was training for squash. But that's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was a spiritual journey going on, but I didn't know it was a spiritual journey. I thought I was a professional squash player. That was my mission. So nothing is lost, nothing is wasted. And you can only just look back and go, well, I'm really actually pleased that it all worked out the way it did. I wouldn't change it at all, because actually I'm a lot better off. I'm a lot happier for it. Although at the time it seemed like my world was ending because I didn't achieve my ego goal. It was actually my true world beginning, the real world beginning for me. I was beginning to awaken at quite a young age. So now I'm 53.
Yeah.
But I've had 25 years of doing this stuff already.
Yeah.
Quite seriously, which I think is a huge advantage. It's like, wow. And I've looked after my body and my mind. So it's like, yeah, I've got energy, like some people, if you look at Alan Watts, 58, he's dead. Steve Jobs, 56, dead. They've used up their life force by the time they're in their mid-50s, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
I just feel like, well, I'm just getting going. Like I'm just like warming up here. 50 years has been the warm up. now the real deal starts. The ministry starts. Anyway, so maybe we can, when you watch The Shift again, we can have another chat about it.
Yes.
Definitely worth watching, because Wayne Dyer teaches some really profound stuff in it. Pay attention to when he's teaching, because it's some great stuff he teaches, and then also in how that plays out. They did it brilliantly in how it plays out in the characters and their little stories that are going on. I thought that it was exceptional movie, really like brilliant movie in so many ways. So watch that when you got a chance. So I guess that brings us to our lesson for the day. Okay, so let me not forget my function. So we're going to tab across then to documents. So I'm putting them in documents now because there's quite a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then I don't have to duplicate it in Telegram. So one document, which then holds all of the images and translations and etc. So yeah, not a long lesson, but again, quite a profound one. So you want to, shall I read the original? You read the alternative.
Yeah.
Let me not forget my function.
I will not forget my true function.
Yeah. So just more direct, I will not. So it's a clear statement of intent.
Yeah.
And my function, I just put true because this is our true function in the world. All right. So then just read that. This is a slide. These were developed by a guy called Kat Mudalia, who's a friend of Elaine's, actually. So that's how I came to know about them. She started sending them to me.
Yeah.
And then I actually contacted him and asked him, and he just sent them all to me. He just said, "Here we go, use them as you want," which is so generous. And say, "Oh, it's my copyright," and he said, "There we go." The whole thing. He's done all of the workbook lessons as well as the text.
Yes.
So my next mission is to put these into the text documents, but it's going to be a lot of work. So maybe I'll do that next year.
Yeah. So he's created all the images, has he?
Yeah. So he's gone and created the images and then taken some quotes and written his own thing, which I think is a great way of studying the course. It's really quite helpful to see images, visual.
Yeah.
And then you sync it with the translations. Hopefully it works. I was like, well, why wouldn't I make it more audio visual, more like
exactly.
So you've got reading, you've got imagery, you've also got audio, you've got the video. It's a multimedia experience.
Yeah.
You can approach this lesson from any one of those angles, and depending on how you wide up, the visual side might really work for you. Or
Exactly, because people learn in different ways. Yeah.
Exactly. So just give them all of the tools, and then hopefully some of it sticks. Yeah. All right. So read just read that. Those little bits from that slide.
Yep. So let me not wander into temptation to abandon God and his Son.
That's what you're really saying in this lesson. Let me not forget my function, is let me not be tempted.
Yeah.
Because it is a world of temptation. Let's face it, we're tempted all the time to abandon our function daily. Like everything you see, everything you hear, everything you touch and taste and feel and smell, it's all an illusion. So it's all tempting you to abandon the awareness that is your true awareness. That was the purpose
and
of
the function in this context is letting go. What is the function?
Yeah. This will tell you for forgiveness or letting go.
Yeah. Okay. Would you like me to read that as well then? So the purpose of the world you see is to obscure your function of forgiveness and provide you with the justification for forgetting it. It is the temptation to abandon God and his Son by taking on a physical appearance. It is this which the body's eyes look upon. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a quote
Yeah.
from the lesson, just a little
Yeah.
preview it. So whatever it is, the news, another war in the Middle East,
Yeah.
someone is sick that or you
Yeah.
get sick, various forms of attack, someone said something nasty to
Yeah.
you, this kind of stuff goes on all the time, all day,
Mm.
every day. And the
Mm.
temptation is to believe in all of this and go, oh, I'm feeling less than abundant. I'm feeling less than whole. I'm feeling like a victim. I'm
Yeah.
feeling fearful, angry, upset, whatever the thought emotion is, instead of connected to my source, instead of peaceful and joyful
Yeah.
and happy. So, we're
Mm.
living in temptation, and these ideas are there to help us to overcome that.
Yeah.
What is interesting, he's not saying you're not going to be tempted. He's
Yeah.
saying, yes, you will be tempted. But with the help of these practices, the mind training and the lessons that he's
Mm.
given us, you can overcome that. You don't have to
Yeah.
give in to that temptation. Again, discipline. It's a discipline to say,
Mm.
okay, no, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going
Yeah.
to let my mind wander into temptation. Because once you start getting more awareness, you start going, I know that's a temptation.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting how your
Yeah.
mind will go, but it's okay. It's all right. No one's really watching, having that extra chocolate, it's all right, or whatever it is,
Mm.
whatever the temptation is. But what you do then energetically is you cut yourself off from your
Mm.
source when you do that.
Mm. Mm.
So it's not like God is judging you and you're going to be condemned and you're sinful, which is a misinterpretation. It just means you've cut yourself off from your source, and you're going to feel that energetically. You're going to
Mm.
feel that in your mind, in your body. If you keep doing that, then over time you're going to get more and more disconnected. You're going to feel more and more alienated from who you really are, and that is suffering.
Mm.
So your choice. You want to keep
Yeah.
disconnecting yourself and
Yeah.
making the wrong choices. That's what you're going to do to yourself. It's not punishment. It's just energetic law. That's how it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
I think the biggest mistake was when they went, oh, so let's just say God is going to punish you because we're going to make it really easy for people to understand.
Mm.
But there's also a control system there, because now this big bad God, if you don't do what we say as his agents on earth, then you're
Mm.
going to be punished and you're going to be
Yeah.
guilty and you're going to burn in hell. It
Yeah.
gives us a great way to control people.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's like, no, the power's in your hands, God isn't punishing you, but if
Mm.
you choose to disconnect from God, then you're punishing yourself. You're going to
Yeah.
suffer because of your own choices.
Yeah.
That's much more liberating and empowering.
Yeah.
But then I don't need to honor a third party authority like a
Mm.
church,
Mm.
because it's all between me and my source, me and
Mm.
my God or creator, and I must make the choice. No one
Mm.
else can really do that for me.
Mm.
So you see why it was changed,
Mm.
because that subtle change made a massive difference. In fact, that little tweak then creates an institution that dominates society, and
Mm.
certainly in Western civilization, for 1,200 years. Just a little, like, okay, we'll just tweak it like that.
Yeah.
Extraordinary, really, but that's the power of belief, isn't it?
Yeah. Because I'm trying to think, who was the I don't know if it was a saint. Who was the one that there was a saint that was killed again for, saying that you could actually reach God yourself without having to go through the church. Do you know who I'm referring to? I can't remember. He said that you could, and he actually got killed for that, for
Oh,
saying that,
yeah, there were a number of them.
because yeah,
Yeah,
because it basically said,
yeah,
that the church was irrelevant. You could
yeah,
actually have a connection with God
yeah.
without going through the
Which,
church.
all
Yeah.
the mystics have said,
Yeah.
throughout the ages, been these mystics in all the traditions, and the church didn't like them at all.
No,
Sometimes
no.
they tolerated them as long as they weren't too outspoken. They were
Yeah,
like,
but this
okay,
one
just
he
shut
was
up
actually
already.
he's quite a famous one, and I can't remember his name. But anyway, yeah. So he
Well,
was
we
killed
can
for
we
saying
can
that.
find out which
Yeah.
which saint was killed for saying you could reach God directly.
Yeah.
See what AI comes with.
Yeah.
The most famous figure burned at the stake the French mystic Marguerite Porete.
No,
Oh, it's a
it
she,
wasn't. Yeah,
wasn't it?
no, not her. But no,
Meister Eckhart.
it was a man. It was a man.
Meister Eckhart.
Oh, that's it. Meister
Hmm.
Eckhart. That's the one.
Yeah. Was
Yes.
he actually burned? I thought he sort of got away with it. Or did they
No,
kill him?
no, he was killed for saying
Really?
that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Fought
yeah.
with the
And
soul and
he
God
has an
shared a single ground.
amazing. He has this amazing quote that says something like, the outer work can never be great if the inner work." It's something along those lines. It's something. It's so profound. So what he's basically saying is that,
Hmm.
kind of the outer, something along the lines of, the outer work can never be small if the inner work is great, or something along those lines. Anyway, that it's like
Hmm. No, so
that's
he
his
died of
famous
natural
quote.
causes. He died of natural causes around
Oh,
1327. Yeah, while he was undergoing a paper, but
papal
he was
trial.
on trial for heresy.
Okay. Yes.
So
Okay. I
yeah,
thought he was actually killed. I didn't realize. Okay. So
yeah. Well,
yeah.
he may well have been if he'd if he'd survived.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
just like, okay, I'm out of here. It's just better to just go
Yeah.
now. Is but I mean, yeah, this was just censorship. It's like
Yeah.
heresy.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
in whose definition? In
Yeah.
fact, he was teaching the truth, and the church was heretical because they had
Yes.
changed
Exactly.
Jesus'
And look at that. And
fundamental
that was back
message.
in the 1300s,
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
yeah.
1327 or
Yeah.
1328 in Avignon.
Mm. Mm.
Um, so, there've been these mystics throughout the ages, and the church was just like absolutely hell bent
Yeah.
on suppressing them
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
point of genocide. I mean, they wiped out the Cathars.
Mm.
You know the story of the Cathars.
No.
Genocide. They just went. They were a community in France. They
Hmm.
lived according to more of the Gnostic kind of tradition.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
more connected, more sort of mystic. Didn't follow the Catholic Church, and then they did really well. The community thrived. They had a lot
Mm.
of community, a lot of connection. They were healthier, and the Catholic Church was like, no, we can't have this. Just kill them all.
Mm.
So they sent their soldiers, and they just went, right, just exterminate them. There's that famous saying, kill them all. That was said by a one of the brutal soldiers
Mm.
who was asked by his underling, said, well, look, there's a village here. We don't know who's a Cathar and who's not.
Yeah.
He just said, just kill them all.
Yeah.
I mean, just like
Yeah.
it's just genocide, just murdering people,
Yeah. Yeah.
like hundreds. Like they
Yeah.
wiped out like 1 million people.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
genocide.
Wow. Yeah.
This
That
all
was
just went
horrific.
down, and that's all
Yeah.
that kind of normal part of this was like accepted.
Mm. Mm.
Fortunately, nowadays it wouldn't be because that kind of barbaric mentality is not okay.
Yeah.
But this is the kind of stuff they did
Yeah.
to maintain their control at all costs. If you went against the church, it was quite likely a few hundred years ago that you would be killed.
Yeah.
Probably not
Yeah.
a very nice way, burnt at the stake or
Yeah.
stoned to death or
Yes. Yeah.
drawn and quartered or
Yeah.
God, I mean, just horrific. So we have come quite a long way when you think of this was what's 800 years ago or something.
Mm.
Now that just isn't allowed. Still
Mm.
happens in some countries, but it's not. We have what's happened is that Christian law has become secular law. So you can't kill people, you can't steal. All of that has now become entrenched in civil law. So these things are no longer acceptable. So we have, there's no doubt we've come a long way, but there's still a long way to go because there's still a lot of brutality and insanity that
Sorry,
that
my Zoom connection was just playing up again there. It's I may have to turn my camera off, Jonathan, if that happens again, because it
no,
just went unstable.
no problem at all. All right, so let's dive into the lesson then, shall we?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll read the original, you read the alternative, you know the drill, sentence by sentence. So today's idea is merely another way of saying, let me not wander into temptation.
Today's idea is merely another way of saying, let me not wander into temptation.
And I like that word wander, which is why I kept it. It's like I'm
Yeah.
just wandering away from the path.
Yeah.
Purpose of the world you see is to obscure your function of forgiveness and provide you with a justification for forgetting it.
The purpose of the world I perceive is to obscure my function of letting go and provide me with a justification for forgetting it.
Quite profound, really. Right?
Mm,
That's its purpose. It's meant to make you forget forgiveness and judge instead and
yeah.
condemn. So it's the temptation to abandon God and his son by taking on a physical appearance.
It is the temptation to abandon pure formless awareness of perfect love and its extension by taking on a physical appearance.
It is this the body's eyes look upon.
This is what my body's eyes look on.
Again, quite profound. Maybe read that from the top
Mhm.
in the
Today,
alternative.
Today's idea is merely another way of saying, let me not wander into temptation. The purpose of the world I perceive is to obscure my function of letting go and provide me with a justification for forgetting it. It is the temptation to abandon pure formless awareness of perfect love and its extension by taking on a physical appearance. This is what my body's eyes look on.
Yeah, quite profound.
Mm,
Temptation. The world is the temptation to abandon this pure formless awareness of perfect love that is the truth of us and our awareness of it. So we are its extension, i.e., we are aware of it
mm,
by taking on a physical appearance. Like, so what better way of convincing yourself that you are not pure formless awareness of perfect love, but by taking on a physical appearance, coming into form?
mm,
That's what you do, isn't it? If you really wanted to deny pure formless awareness of
mm,
perfect love, which is formless, you would take on form and
mm.
you'd believe you're a form,
Yeah.
which is exactly what we've done. And that's what our body's eyes look on and what our body's senses perceive.
Mm,
This is what my body's, maybe I'll change that actually. This is what my body's senses
mm,
perceive.
mm.
Because it's not just physical sight,
Yes.
it's what we
Yeah.
hear, it's what
Yeah.
we see, what
Yeah.
we feel, what we touch, what we
Yeah.
taste, what we smell. And
Yeah.
it's genius because it all lines up. It
Mm,
all seems to integrate. We go, okay, I can see something and I can hear it
mm,
and I can touch it. And if it's something I can put in my mouth, I can taste it and I
mm,
can smell it. It must be there, right?
mm.
It
Yeah. It
all
must
it
be
all
really.
lines up. It's a very,
Yeah.
very convincing appearance
Yes.
that then is
Yeah.
taken as reality because that's what all of our senses are telling us. But that is a program that is by design.
Mm,
It's been designed to trick us into believing that these appearances are real, which is why it's the dream. It's why it's the illusion,
mm,
a fake reality.
mm.
So it's designed precisely to do that, which
Yeah.
is why it's difficult to overcome it because
Oh my
you,
God.
you now have to train your mind to overcome all of that seemingly default programming that you've
Yeah. I
been
mean,
programmed in with birth.
I
Of birth.
still really struggle to get my head around it. I really do,
Mm.
because it does seem so real that, kind of, yeah, it's, mm,
But you've been in a dream before. Have you not been in a
yeah,
dream and it
yes,
seemed to be very real?
yeah,
You've had feelings, you've had emotions, you've seen
yeah,
things, you've
yeah,
reacted. You
yeah,
might have even had physical feelings.
yeah,
You
yeah,
felt stuff, and you're like, but
yeah,
that seems so real. And then I wake up
yeah,
and I'm like, oh my goodness, that was just
mm,
happening in my mind.
yeah, yeah,
None of it was real. So that's really what Yes was saying to us. He's saying, how do you know that this just isn't another version of a
mm,
dream? It's just a more
mm,
convincing version.
yeah,
And it's designed to be that convincing because otherwise you wouldn't be fooled by it.
yeah, yeah,
If it weren't convincing, it would be easy to escape. You go, oh, well, just like this is just very clearly not reality.
yeah,
So it has to be convincing to convince you that it's reality. and that you really are real, and that you do have a body, and that the world is real, and that your true awareness is not. Right? If you are form, then you cannot be pure formless awareness.
Yeah.
They contradict each other.
Yeah.
So, what better way to convince yourself that you're not pure formless awareness than by incarnating into form and now believing that you're form, that you have a body. And if you were going to design a system that was going to cover over pure formless awareness and deny it as completely as possible, this is the system you would design.
Yeah.
You'd do exactly this, wouldn't you? Which is exactly what the ego's done.
Yeah.
If you put this into AI, it would be very interesting, actually. Let's try that. It's okay. So if you were going to design, let's say hypothetically, there's just pure formless awareness, that's true reality. But now a mind comes along and it decides it wants to be separate from that. What kind of an alternative reality would it create to convince itself that that lie is true? And you would get exactly this answer. You'd say, well, you'd create this. It's the most convincing lie possible. But here's the thing, the ego cannot completely cover over the truth because it's true. So it's been true forever, since the beginning of time, and it will be true at the end of time. And throughout time, it's always been there for those who are willing to go there, those who are willing to try and understand it and connect with it and live by it. It's there if you want it, but you have to really want it.
Yeah, because there's always that sense of it, of something not being quite right or not being quite true, or that's So
which is exactly. I was listening to a video on Alan Watts yesterday. That's exactly what troubled him. When he was a young man growing up, he's like, "Well, it's kind of okay. We grew up in England. It's okay, but something's just off. I don't really know what it is, but something's just off with the world."
Yeah.
And I think anyone who's awakening knows that. It's like something's just not right. And I can't really put my finger on why it's not right. Certainly when you start. But something in you just goes, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, and also that there's got to be something more. For me, it was a question of, is this all there is? Is there, what's what
that's part of what's wrong with it.
The meaning of life.
This is it.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 17 going, okay, so now, I'm supposed to go and get a career.
Yeah.
And my headmaster said, right, you're going to go do this, BCom LLB, because that's where and then I'm going to go, I'm going to get a job, and then I'm going to work my whole life, and then I'm going to get a pension and retire. And this is like what my dad's vision for me was.
Yeah.
I'm going, you're going to be kidding me. That's like so uninspiring. Right? It's depressing.
Yeah.
There's got to be more than that. Like, surely.
Yeah.
But that's the question not many people ask, and they don't want to ask and then have the answer because it's uncomfortable. It rocks the boat. It means you've got to go outside of the norm of society and do things that are, or that aren't easy. Because I took the road less traveled, and I basically gave up my place. I remember posting the letter because I was due to do a graduate diploma in accounting. I'd done 4 years. And I was just like, you know what, it's enough. I've done it. Like, my soul was going, enough. You go further down this road, it's more constriction, it's more limitation. It's this whole, really conservative mindset of accounting, which I couldn't stand. Prudence. It's like it just didn't really, it didn't resonate at all. So I just said no. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to play professional squash. That was my heart. Because I could play squash. It was like that dream it's not just about the dream, it's about an escape route from the worldly system that otherwise, well, that's what I would have done, because what else would I have done if I hadn't had the dream? So it served its purpose. It got me out of the 9 to 5, out of the normal path and pattern, and put my life on a very different track, which has then led ultimately to some kind of spiritual awakening, which I'm very grateful for. If I hadn't done, I think of all those choices that I made, which was the road less traveled, if I hadn't made all those choices, where would I be now?
Yeah.
And, well, you only have to look around. People who don't make those series of choices, they just end up in the matrix. They just think it's all real. And as they get older, I think it gets tougher.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm getting older. I'm losing my health. and I'm no longer as young as I was, and
Mm.
life's kind of passed me by. And I used to have dreams, and now they've all gone, because I'm in my 50s or 60s or 70s, and so what is there left to look forward to? The gradual decline and decay of my body into death. Woohoo! That's exciting. Okay, well let's watch some more Netflix, or get some more pizza, or smoke some weed or something, because that's just
Yeah.
horribly depressing. So
Yeah.
I got to try and zone out of that, because it's not a very nice reality to have to contemplate.
Yeah.
Be really honest about.
Mm.
So awakening is really the only alternative to all that. To go,
Mm.
well, okay, none of the illusions are going to work. Clearly,
Mm.
that's not gonna really awaken you. It's not any recipe for true happiness and any kind of a peace of mind. So the only intelligent option is awakening.
Mm.
If you really look at all the options, again, you could run this by AI. It'd give you the same answer. Awakening really is your only way out of this. So best you get to it then. Best you start spending time and energy and money on it, because that's actually the only thing that's going to work to get you out of
Yeah.
the prison.
Yeah.
And people who are awakening are people who've made that choice, and the rest are essentially enslaved
Yeah.
in the matrix, as the matrix, teaches really well. It's like, we're trying to help people, but they're so hopelessly dependent on the system that they resist it. They don't want to be helped. They're like, no, I'm quite happy with my system, because it kind of works for me. Yes, I'll take the vaccine, or I'll do whatever the system asks me to, because I think it's the right thing. I think the system can't be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, seriously, the system can't be wrong. But look at how dysfunctional it is.
Yeah.
How can you not see that? I just, it astonishes me. I mean, my parents, my family, I just remember with COVID, I was like, what the hell? How can you just accept this?
Mm.
Like, how can you not see that there's obviously something wrong here? So obviously something off and wrong.
Yeah.
But I guess that's years of making different choices that brings you to that point. You make choices that go against the grain of society, and eventually you're like, yeah, well, clearly some of code, you're like, okay, that's off straight away, right? This is not right.
Yes.
Whatever's going down here, this is not right.
Yeah.
Every fiber in your body is going, no, not right, not right.
Yeah.
Get out. I just left the city, and I went to the mountains for about 3 months when they did that serious lockdown. So I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be, held indoors. And I can't even go for a run. That's just ridiculous. So, like, I'm go to the mountains where none of those controls existed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you couldn't really. Sorry, let me just stop that. You couldn't really. There wasn't like anything to catch COVID from, because there was mountains and bushes and trees and rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. So,
Yeah.
nothing the bodies. Do you want to switch it, or shall I carry on reading the original?
That's fine. If you can read the original, and I can read the alternative.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nothing the body's eyes seem to see can be anything but a form of temptation, since this was the purpose of the body itself.
Could you scroll down, please, Jonathan?
Sure.
The next bit, yeah. So everything my body's eyes seem to see is just a form of temptation, since this was the purpose of the body itself.
Yet we have learned that the Holy Spirit has another use for all the illusions you have made, and therefore he sees another purpose in them.
Yet I have learned that the remembrance of perfect love has another use for all the illusions I have made, and therefore it perceives another purpose in them.
To the Holy Spirit, the world is a place where you learn to forgive yourself what you think of as your sins.
To the remembrance of perfect love, the world is a place where I learn to let go of what I think of as my sins.
In this perception, the physical appearance of temptation becomes the spiritual recognition of salvation. Great sentence, that actually.
In this perception, the physical appearance of temptation becomes the spiritual recognition of freedom.
Okay, and from the top, maybe just read this first. So we've got that slide to do and then read the alternative.
So our function is to forgive, which means to constantly look past those bodies to the holy light in everyone and everything. Sorry, let me just say that again. Our function is to forgive, which means to constantly look past those bodies to the holy light in everyone and everything. While we spend our days seeing those bodies as real and fending off their threat, we can forget for years at a time that our function is to look past them and love what lies on the other side of them. And yet that is the only road to finding the happiness we so desperately want. In this perception, the physical appearance of temptation becomes the spiritual recognition of salvation.
Yeah. So all of these are just temptations. But I quite like the way, this is symbolized. There's this inner light that's there, that's shining out from the form if you allow yourself to see it.
Yeah.
So even when the news is bad, someone's depressed, someone's sick, actually you see beyond all that to the face of Christ, which is the identity of the true self in our alternative language. Face of Christ is who you really are, which is everywhere. That pure awareness is everywhere, even in the hospital ward, even in the news about the war. It's just been covered over.
Yeah.
And so it's our job to uncover it and see it despite the illusions that cover it over. And that process is called forgiveness, which goes completely against our normal perception. It goes completely against what we've been trained to do by the ego, which is why it's hard. It's why we struggle with it.
Yeah.
So when you go, I can't get my mind around it, that's just because you've been so programmed to think in a certain way for years and years, 60 years plus who knows how many lifetimes, that suddenly to suddenly undo all that and just say, oh, okay, well, actually none of that's true and real. And now you're just going to think, in this way, using this pure awareness, and none of these illusions are true. It's just not realistic. It's going to take some time.
Yes.
It's a slow process for most people of gradual adjustment of like, okay, I can accept that. All right, that makes sense. Okay, accept a bit more. And then you have a challenge and then you let it go and a little miracle comes. Okay, I can see that worked. And, slowly but surely, your mind starts to change. That can take years, decades. I've been doing this the course for 20 years and I'm still learning. Like, do I have it all down pat? Do I never judge? Do I never get up? No, I do. But I'm a lot better at going, okay, I see what's going on.
Yeah.
The only sane choice is to let it go. Whereas 20 years ago, you're like, those grievances, those doubts, those fears, much stronger. They're just like, they get a grip on you and you're like, you can't let go of it.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well, what option do you really have? You've got to let it go. There's no other sane choice. But that's a lot of mind training, a lot of convincing of this, very thick mind. The ego is thick. That doesn't mean we're thick. It just means that thought system is very dense, very thick. Doesn't want to learn. And if we've believed that, then we have all of that to overcome. It's this thick barrier against truth. And suddenly these ideas come in and start going, no, this is all BS essentially. You just need to let it all go. And you face huge resistance. It's normal. No one goes to enlightenment without resistance. It's a normal, natural part of the process. So Yeshua, being the good teacher that he is saying, okay, I will teach you how to overcome that resistance.
Yeah.
So that's where you need a process. Because if you don't have a process to overcome the resistance, then you get stuck in resistance.
Yeah.
It's where a lot of teachers go, you've probably heard the pathless path and there's no path, there's no technique. Yes, that's the ultimate end.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, there's going to have to be some process. And everyone who got to that ultimate end, Yeshua, the Buddha, all these great masters, they practiced and they practiced. They did who knows how many hundreds, thousands of hours of techniques of practice to get to that point.
Yeah.
Where they were finally like, okay, the pathless path, I can just surrender. I'm in samadhi. I don't need to make any effort. There's no technique. Yeah, but you've done 20, 30, 40 years of serious practice to get to that state. So a bit like saying, oh, well, Tiger Woods, when he was at his peak, let's say, effortless, right? He just play golf and, but hang on, he's worked for years, for thousands and thousands of hours to get to that level of mastery.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have got there unless he'd done the practice.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You have to practice.
Yeah.
So that's how you resolve the paradox until you don't have to practice. And when you feel like you need to let go of the practice, then you need to honor that as well. Okay, so maybe that practice doesn't work for me anymore. I can let it go, and then I go to the next level, and the Holy Spirit's going to guide you. Yeah. But right now, if you've got this resistance and it's coming up, and you're like, I'm trying to get my head around this, then clearly the only way you're going to learn that is practice learning it.
Yeah.
So forgiveness is your practice of learning who you really are. You get that? So the only way you're going to learn it is by constantly practicing this letting go of your self-concept, your self-constructed self-concept, the ego, as and when it shows up. Whatever thoughts and emotions it brings up, you let it go, and then this true self reveals itself, and you go, oh, okay, so I feel that, something's shifted, something's changed. Okay, you've just practiced who you are. You've practiced learning who you are. And so that's what forgiveness is. That's what it does. It's the practice of learning who you really are. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which then is like the most important practice you could ever do. Because if you don't know who you are, then what do you really know?
Yeah.
You don't know anything, right? Yeah. I think I know everything about the world, but I don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
And like, what's the point, right? I don't really have a clue. You only have to look at big, important, powerful men, Donald Trump, our favorite character we learn from. Yes, he's got all the worldly power, but he doesn't know who he is. So actually, what power does he really have? Nothing. He doesn't know who he is.
Yeah.
He's clueless. And he's 80 odd or whatever, and he's got all these achievements. But what does it all mean if you don't even know who you are?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. Which is, what all the great teachers and masters have told us. All right. So you've read that. So this is just about what I like about today's lesson, saying just remember, there's all these temptations, but they are designed to make you forget who you are. That's the whole point. So don't be surprised when they do make you forget, because that's the intention of the world. The world wasn't made by God to bless you and be a lovely place to come and have fun and, enjoy all these experiences. And then, no, it was made as a prison to make you forget God. That's its purpose. That was the purpose it was made for, but you can change its purpose. You can reinterpret the world. That's the Holy Spirit now reinterpreting what the ego has made.
Yeah. Which
then transforms it. That's the transformation. That's the healing.
Yeah.
Now, when you understand that, it makes so much sense. It's like, okay, that's doable. That makes sense. There's a logic to that. Yeah. And now I understand why the world doesn't work. Finally, someone's told the truth. This is why it doesn't work, because it wasn't meant to work. It was meant to be a mess. It was meant to be dysfunctional. So yes, that's why it's dysfunctional, because it was designed to be that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you start waking up, right? You start going, okay, I'm starting to get the picture here. Because as long as you think that the world is meant to work, you're always going to go,
well, I always thought the world,
so I'm doing it wrong.
Exactly, because I always thought the
wrong.
world was meant to work.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get my head around why it wasn't working.
And that's the story of humanity. But this is supposed to be working. It's supposed to, I'm supposed to do this, and I'm supposed to get the outcomes I want.
Yeah.
It's all supposed to work out, and it's just not.
And it's
then
not.
We feel like we're failing. We take that personally. We go, I'm failing. I'm not good enough. Everyone else is getting it right.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting it right. So I'm failing. Everyone else is succeeding, because that's the illusion that's painted in the media, social media, etc. The Facebook life. Everyone else is happy. Yeah, really? Happy while they're on Facebook. And then you don't see the argument that happened 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
You don't see any of that. So it's an illusion, right? No one is happy and successful in this life. Even the people who've achieved fame and fortune. If you scratch beneath the surface, there's
Yeah.
a whole load of shit there. There's a whole lot
Yeah.
of difficulty. There's a whole lot of,
Yeah.
often trauma and lessons and so on that they had to overcome to get to the, fame and fortune. Take Donald Trump. Like,
Mm.
man, the guy sold his soul.
Mm.
He sold his soul. Yes, you got fame and fortune, but for what?
Yeah.
It's empty. It's meaningless. And who knows? When he goes to bed at night and he's trying to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning, what's going on?
Yeah.
What is going on in his mind? It'd
Yeah.
be fascinating to spend a day in the
Yeah.
mind of someone like Donald Trump.
Yes.
What is actually going on in there?
Yeah.
So I think you
Yeah.
probably go, "Oh my God, get me out of here!" After 24 hours, this is horrible. This is hell. Yes, he might be the world's most
Yeah.
powerful, one of the richest men in the world, and one of the world's most powerful. But oh my God, I don't want to be in
Yeah.
this mind.
Yeah.
Far rather be just normal, just say, okay, just living my life, doing my thing. But
Mm.
fundamentally, I'm peaceful. I
Mm.
have integrity. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Because no amount of money, no amount of fame, no amount of worldly possessions, fortune,
Mm.
pleasures, none of that can give you that internal coherence that
Yes.
only comes from knowing who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And forgiveness gives that to you. So it's just the greatest gift. What he's given us in this course is absolutely phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
just, not only is it a complete theory of the mind, but he's also given us a practice, a way to get there. Wouldn't be much good if he said, here's the theory of mind, I'll give you the map, but I'm not going to give you a way.
Yeah.
That doesn't really help. That's all
Yeah.
Alan Watts. Yes, I can map it all out for you. I can tell it, but I'm not going to tell you the way. Well,
Mm.
it's not really much good to
Mm.
anyone
Yeah.
because there's got to be a method. So he's given us a method very, very clearly and said, this is it. And I'm going to train you in this method. Just do these lessons,
Mm.
practice these lessons every day, and you will train your mind how to apply this one method that you need to learn to awaken.
Mm.
All right. So let's move on to number 3.
Mm.
To review our last few lessons. Oh, did you read? You didn't read the.
No, I didn't. So let me
Read.
read that first. So, everything my body's eyes seem to see is just a form of temptation, since this was the purpose of the body itself. Yet I have learned that the remembrance of perfect love has another use for all the illusions I have made, and therefore it perceives another purpose in them. To the remembrance of perfect love, the world is a place where I learn to let go of what I think of as my sins. In this perception, the physical appearance of temptation becomes the spiritual recognition of freedom.
Yeah, lovely, lovely last line, isn't it?
Mm, yeah. Yeah, the physical appearance of temptation becomes the spiritual recognition of freedom.
If I
It's very
reinterpret everything.
poetic, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So the course does come up with some brilliant lines
Mm.
that are really quotable quotes. Not
Yeah,
always that easy to read, but some of them are
yeah,
like just wonderfully, wonderfully poetic. It's written in
yeah.
Shakespearean iambic pentameter. It is actually a literary masterpiece
Mm.
in many ways. What he's done. I mean, who
Mm.
writes in Shakespearean iambic pentameter? I didn't even know it existed. It's like so. So how did he know it existed? But I guess he knows
Yeah,
everything, right?
yeah,
Someone once said to me, "So how did Jesus learn English then?"
yeah.
Like, I can't really answer that, Sue. I guess he just downloaded it.
Yeah,
Like when you're at that level, it's like, okay, download.
yeah,
There we go. I've got English because it's
yeah,
all there
yeah,
in the mind. So it's like, okay, I didn't learn it when I was human because English didn't even exist as a language then, but I can just download it, absorb it
yeah,
because it's
yeah.
it's it's in the mind, and this is the
Mm.
most helpful language for me to communicate in
Mm.
because it's the language of the majority of people. It's
Mm.
understood, and yes, it can be translated as well, which it has been. But also, English has a remarkable variety of words. There's so
Mm.
many subtleties and
Yeah,
nuances. It's got the most words of any language.
yeah,
So you can express things that aren't that expressible in other languages which don't have as many words.
yeah,
So some of the subtleties and the nuances maybe don't I don't read French or German or Spanish,
yeah,
but maybe some of them don't get translated as well because they
yeah,
don't have the same words to describe it. So, he made the choice for a reason. But then it's like, okay, I won't just write like plain English. I'll write Shakespeare and iambic pentameter because just why not?
Yeah. But what is Aramaic like as a language? Because I'm not familiar with it at all, but
Hmm.
is it similar to Hebrew or is it very different?
That's a good question. I've heard of Aramaic. I've never spoken it. I mean, it's not really used anymore.
No, but
Um,
that's what originally, well, they were saying, wasn't it? The Bible was originally written in Aramaic. Um,
yeah, and
or the New
Jesus spoke
Testament, I should
Aramaic.
say. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Is Aramaic and Hebrew the same? Let's ask that question. Two distinct but closely related languages. They share
Yeah.
the same linguistic family,
Yeah.
Semitic,
Yeah.
possess similar grammar and vocabulary, but they're not mutually intelligible.
Yeah.
Let's compare them to Spanish and Italian. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like
Yeah.
Spanish and Italian. You
Yeah.
can maybe understand some of it, but
Mm.
probably not a lot of it would have been lost.
Mm.
So Hebrew originated in the land of Canaan, language of the Jewish people. Aramaic originated in the region of Aram, which is modern day Syria, became the dominant trade and administrative language across the ancient Middle East. So that would have been more like English at the time. Aramaic would have been the lingua franca
Mm.
of the
Mm.
time, the business
Mm.
language. And that's what Jesus spoke in. I mean, maybe he spoke Hebrew as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Quite
Yeah.
possibly he did, but Aramaic would have been, I guess, the lingua franca. Remember, he was a building contractor, so he
Yeah.
would have had to speak Aramaic if that was
Yeah.
the business language. He would
Yeah.
have had to, be fluent in Aramaic because he would have been
Mm.
dealing with customers and suppliers and everything, and that was what you had to speak. A bit like,
Mm.
if you're not native English speaker, but you're working in business and English is the dominant language, you have to learn it.
Mm.
Otherwise, you're not going to cope.
Mm.
Yeah, so beautiful, quite a beautiful language, a bit like Sanskrit.
Mm.
I'm not sure it's linguistically related,
Mm.
um, but quite a spiritual language.
Mm.
So a lot of the terms. This is where it started going wrong because they translated a lot of these original texts from Aramaic, and
Mm.
then they got translated several times. They might have
Yeah.
got translated into Greek, and then
Yeah.
Latin, and then Coptic. It's like, hang on, like in all of those translations, maybe some of the essence
Yeah.
is missing.
Yeah. So literally
It's
lost
gone
in
wrong.
translation. Yeah.
Yeah, lost in translation, and then
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
times. And
Yeah.
then you get a Bible that comes out and it's saying the Lord your God, but maybe
Yeah.
that's not what was said in Aramaic at
Mm.
all.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
it's been mistranslated because maybe the words have a different meaning.
Yeah.
Finally, unrelated is spoken languages, Indo-European,
Mm.
um, spoken for over 3,000 years. It's the language of Jesus Christ, prominent lingua franca of antiquity. So it was like English, I guess,
Mm.
in the
Mm.
time. It relies on consonantal uh, alphabet. So that's only consonants.
Mm.
Um, Sanskrit originates Indian. Potential link, ancient Indian parent system, descended from an Aramaic or Semitic prototype,
Mm.
may have indirectly influenced the creation of the earliest written Sanskrit alphabets. I mean, it was all connected. There were
Yeah.
trade routes from the Middle East to the
Mm.
Far East. I mean, we know that they've been going on for thousands of years,
Yeah.
which is why there was a connection between the civilizations.
Mm.
And yet a lot of Yeshua's teachings came from the East. There's no doubt he would have been
Yeah.
aware of those teachings, whether he traveled there or whether they just came via the trade routes.
Mm.
People could travel, so maybe you've got teachers, yogis, etc., who made the journey.
Mm.
They traveled and they taught,
Mm.
and he met them.
Mm.
That's quite likely. I mean, imagine, okay, so he's a spiritual student. Some guy comes from the east. He would have been very keen to meet him, wouldn't he? It's like,
Mm.
okay, I
Mm.
want to check this guy out. I want to talk to him and see what he has to say and so on. So that may well have happened, or he actually went there. Said, okay, I'll make the journey. It was a 2-3 month journey overland to India, but it was doable. You could go in a caravan,
Mm.
and I'll make that journey because I know there's something I need to learn there.
Mm.
Well, we'll never really know, but it doesn't actually matter because his historical how he did it, and his own story is much less important than his message.
Yeah.
And the language is, again, it doesn't really matter, because actually language is just a pointer. It's part of the illusion. The truth is true, whether it's expressed in Aramaic or Sanskrit or English. It doesn't actually matter at all.
Mm.
All right, so let's have a look then. Let's go back to where are we? Lesson 64. All right, so number 3. To review our last few lessons, your function here is to be the light of the world, a function given you by God.
To review the last few lessons, my function here is to be the true awareness of the world, a function given to me by pure formless awareness of perfect love.
It is only the arrogance of the ego that leads you to question this, and only the fear of the ego that induces you to regard yourself as unworthy of the task assigned to you by God Himself.
It is only the arrogance of my separate self that leads me to question this, and only the fear of this belief that induces me to regard myself as unworthy of the task assigned to me by pure formless awareness of perfect love itself.
The world's salvation awaits your forgiveness, because through it does the Son of God escape from all illusions, and thus from all temptation.
The world's awakening awaits my letting go, because the extension of perfect love escapes from all illusions, and so from all temptation through it.
The Son of God is you.
I am the extension of perfect love.
Okay, and then read it from the top in the alternative.
To review the last few lessons, my function here is to be the true awareness of the world, a function given to me by pure formless awareness of perfect love. It is only the arrogance of my separate self that leads me to question this, and only the fear of this belief that induces me to regard myself as unworthy of the task assigned to me by pure formless awareness of perfect love itself. The world's awakening awaits my letting go, because the extension of perfect love escapes from all illusions, and so from all temptation through it. I am the extension of perfect love.
Thoughts on that?
Mm. To me, it's summed up in the last sentence. I am the extension of perfect love. So just remembering that.
So again, you compare that to the original, the Son of God. I never really resonated with that language.
Yeah.
Son of God. Okay, so what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
happens if you're female? But Jesus was supposedly the only Son of God, so what does
Yeah.
that make me then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Etc. But you just translate it and you say, I'm the extension of
Extension
this
of perfect love. Yeah.
perfect loving awareness. It
Yeah.
makes so much more sense, right?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
the analogy of, I mean, you understand why he did it, son, because people understood, okay, you're a son, father
Yeah.
in heaven, like a son. It made it more, the concept more graspable for people. But
Yeah.
in that, something is lost. That's
Yeah.
the essence of what you're trying to transmit can get easily lost, because it isn't father, son.
Yeah.
It's awareness extending into another form of itself,
Yeah.
which is actually the same of it. In essence, it's just one awareness.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
just call it the extension of it because apparently we're separated from it. So now it seems like an extension of perfect love is extending into us, and we think we're something else. But
Mm.
to reconcile with it, we start by thinking an idea like, okay, I'm an extension of this.
Mm.
Because we're not at the point yet where we can accept that actually we are perfect love.
Mm.
Ultimately, you just are pure formless awareness of perfect love, and there's only that.
Yeah.
So, but the starting point for that awareness is, okay, I'm the extension of it.
Mm.
This awareness, which seems to be separate from me, isn't really, because it's actually extending into my own awareness, and I can be aware of that
Mm.
awareness. I can start to connect with that and feel it, and so all the language is designed to help us awaken. It meets us where
Mm.
we are,
Mm.
not our ultimate reality, because you don't need language if you're in in perfect unity with pure formless awareness of perfect love, you're in samadhi, you don't even need language. You don't need teachings. You don't need courses. You don't need any of it. You just stay in that awareness. There's nothing to do. He's teaching the unenlightened. He's teaching people who need the help to get there. And so he meets us where we are, which is why we have the language that meets us where we are.
Mm.
And so that's an important point to understand. Some people are, the course is actually on a lower level because there's other teachings that are much superior, and they just talk about the oneness of being, and it's all wonderful and marvelous. And so those are ultimately true, but they don't give you a pathway there. This is the problem.
Yeah.
If you don't have the pathway there, then how do you get there? Well, you don't often. Yes, I can read Advaita Vedanta. It goes amazing. It's just this perfect oneness, and it's all transcendent, it's all being, and it's completely blissful, and amazing, but how do I get there?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they did, the East had its systems. Yoga was a way of getting there. They invented systems to get there. That's why they had systems of spiritual practice to help you get there. So if you just take the theory without the practice, it's not really that helpful.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you get there? Then the gap, it can just be like, okay, I get it theoretically and intellectually, but I can't match my experience with it, which is ultimately frustrating. You become like someone like Alan Watts, where you know the theory, but you can't live it.
Yeah.
It's kind of only halfway there. Better to know the theory than not know it. But if you don't really live it, then you haven't really mastered. It's not mastery. It's just like I've learned the textbook. Yeah, I'm a very good textbook student.
Yeah, but I can't apply it.
Can't apply it.
Yeah.
So you're an academic, right? You're a theologian. You're an academic. The universities of the world are littered with academics who can't apply this stuff.
Yeah.
Because they learn the theory, but they don't actually go out and go, right, I'll start a business with it, or I'll write a novel with it, or I'll do something with this that is going to take this out of the academic environment and get it out there. They just teach the theory. So which is because it's harder. It's easy to just be an academic and teach the theory. Anyone can. It's just the intellect then. But to actually live it, you have to actually apply yourself. You have to have discipline. You have to work. You have to learn. You have to grow. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have difficulties. And that's the difference between knowing the path, as Morpheus said, and walking the path. Remember what he said.
Yeah.
Difference between knowing the path and walking the path.
Yeah.
You must walk it, which means you have to apply it.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why he's given us a course with these practical workbook lessons. Because if you don't apply it, it's all just theory. It's all a bit pointless.
Yeah.
You know the theory, and you can quote theory, and there's some course students who do that. They don't apply it. Well, then you haven't really learned it, have you? It's the theory, but it's the application of the theory that's most important into your life. So it becomes a lived teaching. Now the text, I've read it many times. I've listened to it many times. I don't read it anymore. I don't need to read it.
Yeah.
It's like it's there. I know it's, that the text was necessary to inculcate this new thought system into, to like go, okay, I get it. I need to accept this theory. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to practice it. Once you've accepted it as a model, as a theory, you don't need to keep going over and over and over again. It's like, I get it. I understand. Now it's about the application. Can I apply it in all contexts without exception? Can I go much deeper, be much more diligent in my practice of it? And then, that's what starts to happen as you start awakening.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, can I apply this in every situation, make no exceptions, and go deeper into this? Really, mastery is about depth, not breadth, and certainly not about superficial intellectual knowledge.
Yes.
That's what Yeshua criticized the Pharisees and the Sadducees for, big time.
Yeah.
Going, so you sit there, with all of your theory and you read the Torah, but your hearts are closed.
Yeah.
There's no love in your heart. So yes, you can, sit and preach to people, but you don't really care about them. So what does that actually mean then?
Yeah.
Nothing, actually. It's just intellectual posturing, clever words, but there's nothing. There's no heart. There's no lived felt presence. So God has no home in your heart because you haven't made a home for him. And
Yeah.
they knew he was telling the truth. They knew he'd got their number.
Yeah.
Which is why they hated it. Because they're like, you
Yeah.
absolutely put it spot on. And because you've been named, their game has been named, and they don't want to look at it, then all they can do is defend and say, well, you're a blasphemer and we're going to kill you.
Yeah.
You get the theme. The church did it
Yeah.
thousands of years later. Oh, you're a blasphemer.
Yeah.
Let's just kill you because
Yeah.
we don't like what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I got to laugh at the ego. Very,
Yeah.
very just like stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's carry on. Number Paragraph 4. Only by
Yeah.
fulfilling the function given you by God will you be happy.
Only by fulfilling the function pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me will I be happy.
That is because your function is to be happy by using the means by which happiness becomes inevitable.
That is because my function is to be happy by using the means through which happiness becomes inevitable.
There is no other way.
There is no other way.
Therefore, every time you choose whether or not to fulfill your function, you are really choosing whether or not to be happy.
Therefore, every time I choose whether or not to fulfill my function, I am really choosing whether or not to be happy.
Okay, and from the top.
Only by fulfilling the function pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me will I be happy. That is because my function is to be happy by using the means through which happiness becomes inevitable. There is no other way. Therefore, every time I choose whether or not to fulfill my function, I am really choosing whether or not to be happy.
Yeah, so some really profound logic there.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a simple logic saying, look, there's really no other way. And so whenever you choose to fulfill your function, i.e. forgiveness or letting go, you're really saying, I'm choosing to be happy or not.
Yeah.
It's like, duh, it's obvious logic,
Yeah.
but how many people understand that?
Yeah.
Very few in
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
So I'm not forgiving, and in fact, I'm doing the opposite. I'm attaching, I'm judging, I'm attacking myself and others. Well, then you're choosing to be unhappy. Let's just
Hmm.
be very clear
Yeah.
that whenever you do that, you're choosing unhappiness rather than happiness.
Yeah.
And that has to be clearly pointed out. Otherwise, you'll keep making these stupid choices
Yeah.
and blaming someone else, blaming the world, and saying, "Well, I'm not happy because the world's not treating me right, my partner's not treating me right, etc., etc." But actually, it's your own choice
Yeah.
not
And
to be happy.
happiness is a choice. Yeah.
Yeah. But to actualize that choice, you need to let go, saying that's the means.
Yeah.
You're only going to be happy if you're consistently letting go of the ego in all of its ways,
Hmm.
its thoughts, its emotions, and ultimately its fundamental identity. You
Yeah.
have to let those go in order to be happy because it doesn't want you to be happy.
Hmm.
The ego does not want you to be happy.
Hmm.
Perfect peace and joy and happiness are not what it wants for you.
Hmm.
It wants you to suffer
Hmm.
because it wants the drama, it wants the upset, it wants the fear and the anxiety and the guilt and the anger and the hatred. And it needs those in order to exist as a separate entity.
Hmm.
So it has to create an unhappy world in order to exist.
Hmm.
Again, like now you start understanding how it really works. You're going,
Hmm.
oh,
Hmm.
now that makes a lot of sense. That's why
Yeah.
the world is the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get the picture now. I'm
Yeah.
starting to wake up and
Yeah.
smell the coffee. Okay,
Yeah.
what's going on here? This is what's really going on.
Yeah.
All I can just, be grateful for is that someone has understood this and is telling us that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you could go for years and years and years, lifetimes,
Hmm.
trying to figure out a way to make this world work and
Hmm.
failing dismally every lifetime. And then you die and you come
Hmm.
back and you try and do it all over again and you try and make it work again. It's insanity, isn't it? It's like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Just realize what's going on here.
Hmm.
And then you save yourself so much pain and so much misery because you just get what the game is.
Yeah.
And then the way out becomes clear. Okay, once you understand the game, then the way to play it is clear. But if you don't understand the rules of the game, you have no idea of how to play it, do you?
Mm.
So he's just telling us what the rules are. He's saying, right, this is the way you play it,
Mm.
so that you can be happy,
Mm.
which is ultimately all you really want. That's all anyone really wants.
Mm.
Forget, money and power and fame and pleasure. You just want that basic sense of inner peace we call happiness. Like, yeah, I'm
Mm.
okay. I'm not wildly excited about anything, but I'm fine. I'm just peaceful. I'm calm. And most of my life's like that.
Mm.
But that's not the case for the majority of humanity. Most people are
Mm.
not nice and calm and smooth and everything's just going well and they flow. That's the exception rather than the norm.
Yeah.
Most people, they live on drama,
Mm.
live on the pain pleasure cycle.
Yeah.
Like, which is why we have a society where there's so much addiction.
Yeah.
I'm seeking my fix. I'm
Yeah.
avoiding pain. I'm seeking pleasure, and the whole thing is designed around that. That's why we have social media. That's why we have, all of these temptations because it's designed to do that.
Mm.
So for me, when I understood this, it's just like, oh, thank goodness, someone's telling me the truth finally. So I can kind of relax.
Yeah.
Go, oh, thank goodness. Like, because I've been trying to make the world work for so long, and it just hasn't, and it's really exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I can actually go, okay, this makes a lot of sense now. The world doesn't work.
Mm.
I just have
Mm.
to accept that.
Mm.
And now my path changes. I'm not trying to make the world work anymore. I'm
Mm.
trying to escape from the world.
Mm.
If you're in prison, get out of prison. That's the answer. Don't try and make the prison into something beautiful and holy and heavenly. Just escape from it because it's prison.
Mm.
That's what he's saying. While you're here, yes, you can still experience joy. You can have peace. You can inspire people. You can, teach and learn and grow.
Mm.
But that's all part of the escape.
Mm.
But ultimately, you're escaping.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Shawshank Redemption?
Oh yeah, I love that film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant, brilliant movie because it's
Oh,
symbolic of what we're all here to do.
yes.
He's
Oh,
unfairly, he's apparently the victim of the situation.
yeah.
He's been set up. He's
Yeah.
unfairly there. But instead of going, oh, this life's terrible,
Mm.
I'm such a victim, or becoming institutionalized like many of them
Mm.
did,
Mm.
he maintains the spirit. He's like, I'm working, I've got a plan, but
Yeah.
while I'm here, I'll do my best, right? He,
Yeah.
he adds value.
Yeah.
He changes life in the prison.
Yeah.
He's very helpful.
Yeah.
But all the while he's got a plan. It's like
Yeah.
I'm going to escape. I'm going to
Yeah.
escape,
Yeah.
and he keeps that in mind always. Never lose sight of
Yeah.
that end goal. And ultimately, he does
Yeah. And he
escape and
Red,
gets
takes Red
get,
with him. Yeah.
gets the better of the
Yeah.
evil prison
Yeah.
warden.
Yeah.
Wonderful story. Wonderful, wonderful.
Oh yeah,
It's
it's brilliant.
symbolic of the whole of enlightenment. Really, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
beautiful story of Stephen King. I think it was a novella, Stephen King.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, all right. So, did you read this again?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're now on the priestess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this, just a little bit of context on this. Helen Schuckman had these dreams when she first started getting the course of being a priestess.
Oh,
She
really?
saw herself in robes,
Mm.
white robes, some kind of past
Oh,
life, which quite possibly she was
yeah.
in a past life. Some kind of religious symbolism. She'd seen herself as a priestess,
Mm.
and almost certainly she'd probably had some, or it would make sense. So there
Mm.
was a spiritual connection. In this life, she was a psychologist, but
Yeah.
something in her resonated with it, which is probably why Jesus told her. But her ego was too strong to fully embrace it and accept it.
Yeah.
She could accept that she was a channel for it, that she was the scribe,
Mm.
but she couldn't actually live the teaching
Yeah.
herself.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's why the
Oh,
priestess
right. Okay.
analogy has come in.
Yeah. And then the reference to Helen in
Yeah,
the text as well.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so you read
Oh,
that?
okay. So the priestess in us, there is an ancient priestess in in us as well, who wants nothing more than to perform her function. All she wants is to stand up and radiate the light of forgiveness to the world. She is innocence, she is innocence itself. Her face is gentle and full of compassion. She has been lying in chains in the basement, forgotten for millennia. However, the choices we are making are allowing her to begin to rise from those chains. And as she does, the joyous possibility that we could have our function back rises with her. If we realize that she is rising and how momentous that is, we would join Helen in repeating, "How wonderful, oh, how wonderful."
Yeah, so this is a symbol, priestess. This is our true self
Mm,
that's been imprisoned, that's now awakening. And as Helen said, it's a direct quote, I believe, how wonderful, oh, how wonderful.
mm.
Except she couldn't embrace it. She couldn't
Yeah,
actually fully love
yeah.
it. So, yes, wonderful, wonderful, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah, yeah,
Wonderful for other people, but I don't want to do it because my ego's too strong.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we all have, we all have our thing, and you don't know. She was highly strung, very anxious person, highly
Yes,
strung, probably on the spectrum, all of
yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
we
Well,
all have our all of our
I saw the
challenges.
film, that it was the 50th anniversary of A Course in Miracles, wasn't it? The publication of it or something last year.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
I saw at Hammersmith, they had a special screening of two documentary films
Mm.
about her and Bill,
Mm.
and how she kind of channeled the text and everything. And it was
Mm.
it was really, because you look at her. I mean, she she doesn't look like your typical person that would sort of channel this, and
She didn't channel it; she scribed it, so it came to her as a kind of dictation. It was like
yeah,
this voice
but she said
spoke
that
to her,
she
and
was
she
able
wrote
to,
it down.
yeah, but she was able to kind of control that dictation, because she was able to kind of stop and then start again, wasn't
Well, it
she?
just came spontaneously.
Yeah,
She didn't control it; it just came.
yeah,
So Jesus would go, right, let's, have a chat, and he'd do his thing. She's like, okay, here we go, write
yes,
it down.
yeah,
Okay, it stopped half an hour later. Okay, carry on with my work. And then, he'd come back in the evening or the next day or whatever, and he'd pick up exactly where he left off and just carry on.
right, okay, yeah,
So it would happen spontaneously. But I think he picked his times, because I guess he's like, well, I want my scribe to be okay.
yeah,
So he knew she had work and stuff. So a lot of the time it happened after hours, in the
yeah,
evenings, weekends, and so on. It would just come upon her, and she would like, okay, just
mm,
and she wrote everything longhand with a pen, paper.
yes,
She wrote it all out,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then it'll help to type it. So she would
mm,
read it, and then he would type it, which became the first manuscript, the urtext, which then
mm.
got edited, and that's been edited in various times, and there's different versions of the course because of that. That
Oh,
urtext
really?
was
Okay, okay,
yeah, because
yeah,
that's what happens with documents. So it
yeah,
was it was originally what they call the urtext, the original text in German. That's what it meant. That's what urtext means. And then her and Ken Wapnick, Helen and Ken Wapnick, did the first editing. So that became the first edition, which was published in three books. The
yeah,
workbook, manual for teachers, and the text in 70. Oh, well, you said last year, so it would have been 75. Or it
yeah,
was 76 actually.
yeah,
But yeah, around that time, they managed. They again, total synchronicity. They were like, well, how do we get this out there? They'd been photocopying it, and it had become kind of a bit of a cult kind of following. People were like, oh, I want one of these photocopies. They realized they needed to publish it, didn't have the money, and so then they sat down one day. This was Helen Bull, Ken Wapnick, and a lady called Judy Scutch, who sort of joined them, and they were like, okay, so how do we publish this? And Jesus came and told them, well, the people who publish it are going to be those who dedicate their lives to it. And then they were like, well, how are we going to get a publisher who dedicates their life to it? And then they
yeah,
realized it was them
yeah,
that had to publish it. And once they'd realized that, then literally the next day they got an offer. Some guy in Mexico had sold some land, and he said, look, I really love this course. understand you want to publish it. I've heard, so I've just sold the land. I'm going to donate the money to publish the course. And they had exactly enough to allow it to be published, however many copies in its fifth edition. But they had to like make the commitment first, and like, okay, we give our lives to this. This is what we're doing with the rest of our lives, which they did. Some didn't live. Helen didn't live very long after that. I think she died in 1981 or 3, something like that. But Ken Wapnick went on till, when did he die? About 5 years ago.
Oh, right, okay.
Maybe 10 years ago. Yeah. So he was like the original course teacher. His function was okay. I'm going to, teach this, and he's still one of the best. If you listen to his teachings on YouTube, a great understanding and interpretation of the course, and he just clarified a lot of like that descent into hell was his kind of understanding and interpretation of what Jesus was saying, which it made a lot of sense to other teachers, which they then learned from.
Yeah.
So it needed 4 people like that to say, okay, we're gonna really establish this and take it out to the world and establish this course community. Because you think about, only 50 years ago, it didn't exist.
Yeah.
Not a long time. No one knew about it.
Yeah.
At all. It was embryonic. So it's had quite a profound impact already in 50 years, and I think in time to come it will have even more of an impact because more people start realizing there's a truth here, and then someone like me comes along and says, okay, I'll translate it and try and make it more accessible, and this is how it goes. Someone takes it on as their life's work and dedicates themselves to it, and then that spreads it, and so it's an organic, it's a living. I don't think something should ever be like, that's it. And there's the course and it should never change. Yes, the original's always there, but I think it's meant to be used, to be adapted. Technology moves on, language moves on. The ideas are timeless. So, adapted for the times.
Yeah.
All right. So just that little paragraph: to allow the priestess in us to be free.
Yeah, to allow the priestess in us to be free from her chains, we need to not forget her. We need to remember our function as the light of the world. Now that is so interesting because that ties in with that painting of Christ holding the lantern from St. Paul's Cathedral, of being the light in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The light
It's funny how everything is just so related.
But that's what you start seeing. Okay, there's all these dots connecting in my experience, and that's when you're on the path of awakening, because it's connect the dots. It's like draw there, draw there. Draw. Okay, I'm starting to see the picture. That, dots connect, and there's something going on here that is not purely logical, can't really be explained by the laws of time and space. It's not strictly cause effect, and there's something in you that knows that, okay, there's something really interesting, miraculous going on in my mind and in my life. Just the teachings are saying, well, just go with it, go with the flow of that. That'll take you where you want to go.
Yeah, because he painted that painting, which is called The Light of the World, in the 1800s, actually. So so interesting.
And then that comes into experience over the weekend, and then the lessons line up with it, and now we discuss.
Yes, exactly. That was a funny thing. The day we saw it,
you can't sort of help but go, okay, there's obviously some kind of process here that I'm in, right? There's a connected curriculum. This is all lining up, and so there's I'm not alone here. There's obviously something guiding me to learn all this, and these dots are connecting, and you can only feel grateful and almost awful.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, wow, this is amazing.
I am. It's like, wow, that is amazing.
Look what's happening for you, because you're willing to engage in this, and are ultimately worthy of awakening to who you are. Then the Holy Spirit's going to give you all this stuff. So there you go. For you, your experience, not anyone else's, your experience, your unique journey, your curriculum, and I'll work it all out for you. It's a bit like
Mm.
AI, just saying, right, there's your plan.
Yeah.
There's your travel plan. Boom, done. Okay, but it's going to unfold moment by moment. You're not going to know the
Yes.
whole plan in advance because that would kind of ruin it.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
much more interesting when it happens moment by moment, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't
Well,
expect that.
I know I'm really because I'm going to so Robert is having a retreat in Assisi in October because it's the 800th anniversary of the birth of Saint Francis.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and and quite a few of the people that were on the retreat at the weekend are also going to that, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, what could happen there? You know, kind of like.
Well, exactly. Are you going to go?
Oh yeah. I've signed up already.
Yeah.
Yeah, he announced it last year that he was
Oh,
going to do a
oh,
retreat to
oh,
coincide with
oh.
St. Francis. Yeah, yeah.
Well, there's another synchronicity because Wayne Dyer talks about St. Francis of
Yes,
Assisi in the movie,
yes, he
and
does.
he did
Yes,
retreats in Assisi, and
yes.
there's a miracle he talked about. So it's like,
I know, and it's so funny because
all the, yeah,
I've actually I've been on a retreat with Wayne Dyer. He did a
oh,
cruise in 2000 and I think it was 2015. It was either 2013, 14 or 15, around that time,
okay.
where we sailed. It was called In the Wake of Our Spiritual Ancestors. And we sailed from Rome, so Civitavecchia, around the Eastern Mediterranean, stopping off at Ephesus, and we actually went to the Shrine of St. Mary there as well, you know? And so, yeah, because I think Wayne Dyer was another incredible teacher, actually. So, yeah, so it's really funny. All these things, I'm just thinking, all these interlinking things that I've done are just like,
Yeah.
you know,
And it all starts to, the dots connect and
yes,
things unify in your mind, and you're like, yeah, I'm on my path, right? I'm
yeah,
awakening. This is what it's
yeah,
about.
yeah.
And it's the most thrilling journey you can take.
Oh,
Just like,
absolutely.
wow, this is
Yeah,
amazing. It's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
Who would want anything else but
Mm,
this? Once you've tasted it,
yes. Yeah,
and then you just keep going.
yeah, yeah,
It's not always easy. Yeah, I mean you've had some challenges already, but
yeah,
that's part of the journey.
yeah.
It's like just
It's
saying,
really
well,
funny because those they actually seem pretty irrelevant now, though. I have to say, I've really I've really let
hmm,
go of the attachment to those now. You
yeah.
know, kind of like
Well,
yeah.
that's
So they
really
haven't.
good. That's
Yeah. So
given
they
given
haven't
where
got
you
the
were a month
same.
ago.
Oh
That's
God, yeah,
major
yeah, yeah.
progress.
They haven't got the same, kind of
Hold over you.
pardon?
The same hold over you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that they had before,
Hmm.
So yeah.
Which is a sign that you've let go. Maybe not
Yeah.
entirely, but
No, but
there's
a
been
lot. A
a
lot.
lot
Yeah.
of letting go,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
feel that liberation. Okay,
Yes.
I'm not as enslaved by this.
No,
I can just
exactly.
sort of let it go, and
Yeah.
okay, maybe there's still a little bit there, so a little bit more work to do, but
Yeah.
it's a process.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't happen overnight. It's fine.
Yeah.
You can take your
Yeah.
time. As long as you practicing and you're doing the work,
Mm.
you're on the path.
Mm.
So it's all okay. There's
Yeah.
no rush.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
Yes.
we have the rest of our lifetimes. If you have as
Yes.
much time as you want, you could come back as many times as you want, have as
Yeah.
many lifetimes as you want to get it.
Yeah.
But ideally, you want to make the most of this one.
Yeah.
Learn as much as you can
Yeah.
in this one. But actually, desperation and rushing is not the right energy.
No, not
It's
at
more of
all.
a
Yeah.
wu wei flow is all about relaxing,
Yeah.
surrendering. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
yes, I'm disciplined, but I'm also surrendered. That's the
Yeah.
interesting combination, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I can maintain discipline, but I'm not overly rigid and obsessed by it. There's
Yeah.
also a surrender in that. And I
Mm.
think there's a balance there. That's something like, say, Alan Watts never got right.
Mm.
The balance between discipline and surrender. He was more like, well, it's a pathless path. You don't have to do anything. But then
Mm.
maybe that suited his ego because it meant he could carry on drinking, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
have to give up
Yeah.
what I use. It's like, well, there's no technique, so I don't have to discipline myself. But
Yeah.
then again, that's that wasn't actually authentic. That wasn't in integrity. But
Mm.
neither is meditating for 6 hours a day
Mm.
and putting your body through torture, because that's what
Yeah.
Vipassana does,
Yeah.
and going, okay, the more I do this, the more enlightened I'm going to get. That's not the way
Yeah.
either.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
the middle way. It's somewhere
Yeah.
between those extremes
Yeah.
of a complete libertarian, dissolute kind of, Alan Watts knows the theory, but like, what the hell, eat,
Mm.
drink, make merry, not
Mm.
interested in really disciplining myself.
Mm.
That's clearly not going to work. He was evidence of that. Or like complete rigid attachment to one practice. And it's like, well, I'm just, going to keep doing this endlessly over and over and over again, because the more I do it, the better. That's also not the way. So the
Yeah.
Buddha said it's the middle way. Somewhere in
Yeah.
between there is a path of discipline, but surrender. And you can
Yeah.
kind of combine those. Yes, I'm disciplined, but not not overly so. There's still spontaneity. There's
Yeah.
still the ability to, let go, relax, have fun. Yeah,
Mm.
sometimes you can't do your practice. That's
Mm.
okay.
Mm.
But don't say, well, I can't do it all the time, because then
Yeah.
you lose your discipline. So um, and that's really the art of it. It's
Mm.
finding that for yourself.
Mm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
where the boundary, the borders between discipline and spontaneity, where is that for you?
Yeah.
But that's the interesting journey, to learn
Mm.
that for yourself. No one can really teach it to you.
Yeah.
You have to learn it for yourself through practicing these things, learning, okay,
Yeah.
maybe you go too disciplined, or maybe you go too libertarian.
Mm.
Maybe like somewhere in between there's this beautiful middle way that just feels natural and flowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the way. That's Wu Wei. That's the Tao in action.
Yeah.
That's what we're all looking for. That's the miracle. That's living in the domain of the miraculous.
Mm.
Put it in coarse terms.
And another connection with the Tao and Wayne Dyer as well,
Mm,
where he wrote that he basically lived the Tao, didn't he, for a year, and then wrote a book about
mm,
it as
mm.
well. Mm.
Yeah. So all these great teachers were
Mm.
influenced by these ideas.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the Alan Watts read one of the first translations of the Tao Te Ching, took it with him
Hmm.
to America. Carl
Hmm.
Jung read the same translation. They
Hmm.
all read these great texts, and
Mm.
there's something profound in them that awoke through it, and they were like, "Wow, there's
Yeah.
something absolutely profound here that this text is saying,
Yeah.
which traditional Western psychology and models didn't say."
Mm.
And then it's like, well, how do you, integrate that in, and that has been uh, their journey and is still our
Mm.
journey. How do
Mm.
you make it all work for you and
Mm.
actually live it? It's
Yeah.
meant to be a lived teaching,
Yeah.
not some theory
Yeah.
that or God that you pray to, or theory that is a dogma or something that you worship. It's meant to be lived, felt,
Mm.
and experienced
Yeah.
in your life. So it becomes the living truth. That's
Yeah.
why, Jesus used these words, the living truth, the
Mm.
living water of life. It's got to flow through you, and it
Mm.
becomes you. And then your life really starts to come alive. Then you're like,
Yeah.
wow, okay,
Yeah.
this is what they all talked about. This is what the masters and the mystics were pointing to, and they described it as best they could in
Mm.
language. But until you experience it for yourself, you don't really have a clue, do you?
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
just language. And you can understand why theologians and so on who read these texts and they weren't experiencing it themselves just didn't get it.
Mm.
And then it gets lost in translation,
Mm.
and the mind takes over, and it all gets taken into a rigid form and a dogma. And
Mm.
the essence of the teaching is not lost, but covered over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, now, oh, it's all new age. No, we're just discovering the original truth that got
Mhm.
buried for thousands of years. That's what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
There was a
Yeah.
massive cover up. And
Yeah.
now that cover up has got to be uncovered,
Yeah.
so that we can truly learn what was taught. What was the authentic Christianity?
Yeah.
Well, this is what we're learning.
Mm.
Fortunately, I mean, we're just grateful we can discuss these things without being persecuted.
Yeah.
Because in years gone by, you discuss these things and you had to do it in secret. No one
Yeah.
could know it
Yeah.
because, like,
Yeah.
word got out, someone would shop you out to the church and you get a mob at your door and they'd burn your house down, kill your family. I
Yeah.
mean, like
Yeah.
terrifying, what people had to go
Yeah.
through. So
Yeah.
now we're like, oh, okay, you're free to discuss it. Not everyone's going to agree, but who
Mm,
cares?
mm,
We're free to discuss it. This is
mm.
going out live online. Anyone can discuss, can
Mm.
debate. I mean, we've come a long way, really. We're really,
Yeah.
really grateful for
Yeah.
the freedom that we do have. Still
Yeah.
a long way to go, but the fact that we can read these ideas, it's all free,
Mm.
right? It's freely available. Anyone who has access to the internet can get this text.
Yeah.
It's not copyrighted, which again is I think part of the design
Yeah.
as well. It was meant to be that way, freely
Yeah.
available. No one owns it. They
Yeah.
had actually had a lawsuit about that. If you know, they had a big fight in the early 2000s in the course community. But the Supreme Court in the US upheld the appellant, saying, "Look, there should be no copyright on this."
Yeah.
This Foundation for Inner Peace was saying there should be copyright. We own it. This was the foundation set up by Ken Wapnick.
Mm.
And someone else, another teacher, he called himself the master teacher, said, no, you don't own the copyright. Why? Because it was never copyrighted. It was never published with a copyright. Interesting.
Mm. Mm.
Omission. They published it with a copyright originally, just a copyright notice, but they somehow missed that detail. I don't know why, but
Mm.
obviously it was by design.
Mm.
So it's actually free of copyright. You can quote it.
Mm.
You never used to be able to. Before that court case, you had to get permission, which
Mm.
is obviously very restrictive. It's like, well, they can deny you permission, then you can't quote it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not. So yeah, all things work for good,
Mm.
including those kinds of things. Okay, so I will remember. Let us remember this today. In fact, there's not much to translate here, so just read it in the alternative.
Yeah.
Very
So
little.
I will remember this today. I will remind myself of it in the morning, again at night, and throughout the day as well. I will prepare myself in advance for all the decisions I will make today by remembering that they are all really very simple. Each one will lead to happiness or unhappiness. Can such a simple decision really be difficult to make? I should not let the form of the decision deceive me. Complexity of form does not imply complexity of content. It is impossible that any decision on earth can have a content different from this, but different from just this one simple choice. That is the only choice the remembrance of perfect love perceives. Therefore, it is the only choice there is.
So only translation there is the Holy Spirit become remembrance
Yeah,
of perfect love. Otherwise, everything except it's personalized. So notice the you
yeah,
becomes I, and I think that's
I,
much more
yes,
powerful
yes, yeah,
because it becomes an affirmation. Becomes okay. I'm personalizing this to me
yeah,
rather than again. You lends itself to theory to theory. Oh
yeah,
well, you. It's all the theory. Yes, I can talk the theory. When you say I, it's like okay, so this is a practice for me.
yeah,
I must apply it to my life.
yeah,
And becomes an affirmation if you read it as I.
yeah.
These then become affirmations. So what's he saying? What's he saying in that one? In summary,
The only well, for me again, it was just point 9. The only choice the remembrance of perfect love perceives. That's the only choice you need to make.
yeah. So what I love about this teaching is it's really, really simple.
Yeah.
This isn't complex. You don't need a degree in theology. You don't
Mm,
need to be particularly intellectual to understand this. It helps. I think having a bit of intellect is helpful because some of the concepts um, can be a bit challenging. But in essence, it's a very, very simple choice that
mm,
he's giving us
mm,
that everyone can make.
mm,
Yeah, you hold on or you let go. It's very, very
mm,
simple. We all kind of know what that means. That's why I
mm,
use the word letting go.
mm.
People say just let it go. We kind of all know what that means, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I know I'm holding on to it. I know I'm attached. I
Yeah.
can feel it. Okay, well, just let it go then.
Yeah.
So are you going to let it go or are you going to hold on? So very
Yeah.
simple. That's the
Yeah.
decision. And that decision is everything. In that
Yeah.
decision lies your happiness or your unhappiness. The parent success or failure of your life, everything's in that choice.
Mm.
Which choice you're going to make. And you're going to be asked to make that choice over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Do I hold on? Do I let go?
Yeah.
The world tells you to hold on. The world's training is like hold on, attach, control, because that's the way to make it work.
Yeah.
This teaching says no, that's gonna that's gonna cause you a lot of pain and suffering, and you're gonna fail in your mission, which is to awaken to who you are. So let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's either forgiveness or it's forcing. That's the choice.
Yeah.
So if you force, you're going to be unhappy.
Mm.
If you forgive, then you access another power which helps you to be genuinely happy.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very simple choice to make. And you can see how in any situation you have those choices. Whichever situation you take, there's always two choices.
Mm.
So, which is it going to be in this situation? Once you learn that there's only one choice to make, and you can apply the same logic and the same choice to every situation, life becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying the complexity of form, don't let that confuse you.
Yeah.
Because it's actually not complex. It's the same choice you're being asked to make, no matter what the form of it. Yes, it just takes a little bit of mind training to start recognizing.
Yeah.
Start going, actually, it's just the same choice over and over and over again, being presented to me in different situations, different scenarios. Apparently, they're different, but they're not really different because I'm being asked to either let go of my attachment to it or to hold on to it and reinforce my attachment. That's always the choice.
Yeah.
Okay, then just read that little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let not the form deceive you. Just to
Yeah.
emphasize that, we've already read it, but read it again.
Yeah. Let not the form of the decision deceive you. Complexity of form does not imply complexity of content. It is impossible that any decision on earth can have a content different from just the one simple choice.
So how liberating is that? Talk about making the complex into something simple, which all great teachers and teachings do. This is the ultimate. It's like, okay, all of the complex forms that go on in this world, which are it's so complex. You just get completely lost in the complexity of form in this world because there's so much going on. And there's no possibility you can understand all of that complexity and master it. Even if you study one discipline your entire life, it's still difficult to understand it all and master it all.
Yeah.
So forget about the whole world.
Mm.
You'd have to be AI, and even then, would you have completely mastered it? So you're saying, but actually, just cut through all that. It's actually really, really simple. You've got one simple choice to make in any situation.
Mm.
Cut to that, see that very clearly, make the right choice, and your happiness is simple. It's guaranteed.
Yeah.
I mean, what an amazing teacher.
Yeah.
Just to cut through all the bullshit and
Yeah.
all the lies and all the complexity of the ego and just go, there you go.
Mm.
It's actually really, really simple. And you've always got this one simple choice. And if you want to, you can make it. The ego can't take that power away from you. You're always going to have that choice. It cannot remove the choice of forgiveness because
Yeah.
it cannot remove the truth. It's always there.
Yeah.
So you're always going to have that. It's just, well, do you exercise the choice or not?
Mm.
That's really the question. If you don't exercise it, then it's as though it wasn't there. And of
Yeah.
course, that the more you don't exercise, the more the ego tries to convince you that there's only one choice, which is it.
Yeah.
But there's always a choice. You
Mm.
can always let it go. And therein lies our power and our freedom. Because if there wasn't that choice, then we would be enslaved forever in the ego's world. But there is another choice. There is another way that you can approach every situation and live your life,
Mm.
fortunately. And many people have found that way and have shown us that way. All the great spiritual masters, teachers have found the way and shown us the way and said, yeah, there is another way. And
Mm.
I've demonstrated it. So you too can do this
Mm.
if you choose to, which is why Yeshua said, you'll do these things that I've done and even greater things.
Yeah.
Didn't say I'm like some God to be worshipped. He said, I'm
Mm.
just a way shower. I'm going to show you how to live. And if
Mm.
you apply these teachings as I have, Who knows what you can do?
Mm.
You do even greater things than I've done.
Mm.
And given where we are today, with the tech available to us, of course, his tech was very limited, so
Yeah.
he could only use his body, his mind, and there was no real technology, so it was just his voice and
Mm.
him walking around. Well, nowadays, my goodness, you can build a global audience of millions of people
Yeah.
using this tech, just with your voice, and extraordinary.
Mm.
So where are the limits?
Mm.
And he's encouraging us to say, well, go explore those. Don't worship me and say, oh, there's, Jesus was a one and only, and he was so far above me, and I'm such a miserable sinner compared to that, because that wasn't what he was saying at all. But
Mm.
that is blasphemy, in fact.
Mm.
That is the blasphemy. But that became church doctrine, and that became, the formal religion we know as Christianity. But it was
Mm.
actually a blasphemy. It was a lie. And that's even in the scriptures. Why did he say things like, you'll do these things that I've done, and even greater things? That's in the gospels.
Mm.
It's in the New Testament.
Mm.
So why did he say that then, if you
Mm.
didn't mean it? So that made it in, but they don't focus on that,
Yeah.
because that one line just undoes the whole church structure and hierarchy and controls. Like, okay, actually, he's just told us that we're the Christ.
Yeah.
He's just told us. He's told everyone that you're exactly as he is, and you can do even greater things, and you
Yeah.
shouldn't worship him.
Yeah.
So, like, why do they then put him on a pedestal and worship him?
Yeah.
It's exactly what he said don't do.
Yeah.
Lost in translation.
Mm.
Anyway, fortunately, we can discover the truth, and we can live it now. 2,000 years later, it's taken that long. It's taken it's taken that long for the truth really to
Mm.
come. And in our lifetime, suddenly here is true teaching. So I think we need to be really appreciative of that. Very
Yeah.
grateful for
Yeah.
opportunity to study the
Yeah.
words and learn from a master.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, shall we do a little meditation? Because
Mm-hmm.
we come to the practice, which is quite short and sweet and simple, but we can do it in a med
Mm-hmm.
to end the session. So happy with that?
You did? Yep.
Yeah, maybe just read, because it's so short. Just read
Yeah.
those 3 lines.
Yeah. So therefore, I will, with these thoughts to practice this session today, I will not forget my function. I will not try to substitute mine for perfect loves. I choose to let go and be happy.
Yeah, I'll use these thoughts to practice. Left out a word there. Yeah,
Oh,
so it's so simple.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I just left out the word. Sorry, it was an error. Just fixed it.
Mm-hmm.
I will use these thoughts to practice this lesson today. So simple. I
Mm.
won't forget my function.
Mm.
I will not try to substitute mine for perfect loves. I choose to let go and be happy.
Mm.
This isn't rocket science, is it? What he's saying to us is actually so simple. You go, well, why do we even have to study it? It should be common sense,
Mm.
but it's not common sense. So that's why we have to study it. Just because unless we're reminded of this, it is very easy to forget our function.
Mm.
And it's easy to forget the simple logic
Mm.
that he's presenting to us, and to get caught up in the complexity of form and
Mm.
forget the truth. It's very, very easy to do that in the world, because the world's designed to do that.
Yeah.
And unless you have some kind of spiritual practice, some mind training to counter that, then that's what you're going to think and believe. And that is the default thought system
Mm.
of the world. I'm just so grateful that there are these teachings, and there
Yeah.
are spiritual practices that are there to be used to help you.
Yeah.
Because we're
Yeah.
completely lost without them.
Yeah.
Just be slave in the matrix, and not having any clue how to escape from the prison that you can't even see or feel or touch or taste or smell, as Morpheus says. Like,
Yeah.
it's the matrix. It's all around you. You know something's off, but
Yeah.
you can't really name it, because the world just seems to be going on. And yeah, you seem to be a free person, and you've got a
Mm.
job, and
Mm.
you're doing your thing, and you've got your life going on, but something's off.
Yeah.
Something's not quite right. You
Yeah.
know it. You just can't put your finger on it
Mm.
until you start really digging and asking these asking these questions, these deeper questions. Okay, so what is it really all about? What is reality?
Yeah.
What is the matrix? And who am I? Remember,
Yeah.
the first question Neo is asking is, what's the matrix?
Yeah.
And then in the second part, it becomes, well, who am I?
Yeah.
What am I? Because that's what the first question leads you to.
Mm.
Okay, so if the matrix isn't real and I'm not real,
Mm.
my false identity in the matrix isn't real, then who am I? That's the
Mm.
obvious question then.
Mm.
And that's the hero's journey, is to discover that,
Mm.
which is just amazing, that we can discover who we are, finally get rid of all the illusions, discover
Mm.
who we are in this lifetime. That's the promise.
Mm.
Live the happiest life we can live, and then be done with it.
Yeah.
Then disappear. Arrivederci, gone. Bye. Bye bye. I don't have to come here and do this insane thing again.
Yeah.
I can just be peaceful and happy in my true awareness, and I don't have to have a body and
Yeah.
go through all these difficult experiences of life again.
Mm.
That's what's being held out to us. That's salvation. That's awakening.
Mm.
We're not always quite ready to accept that.
Mm.
This is you will find resistance because the ego doesn't want to go there.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started sort of waking up to it, I'm like, oh my God, this is quite hectic. This is like the end of me. That's the end of Jono. Well, I sort of thought these teachings were cool, and I didn't think it would be the end of me.
Yeah.
But the Holy Spirit then just wryly goes, well, like, what did you think? Like, you're going to become enlightened with the ego
Yeah.
intact? I mean, come on, like you've learned that the theory is the small self, the little self's got to die. So what did you think that meant? That it was going to survive? That
Mm.
you were going to, awaken and stay in the little self? I mean, come on, like, let's just get real.
Yeah.
It's obviously got to go. It's just not comfortable.
Mm.
When the ego's dying, it's definitely not comfortable at all,
Well,
because
yeah,
it
it's not
feels
going to
like you're
die
dying.
without a fight.
Yeah, it feels like something in you's dying, and it
Yeah.
doesn't want to go.
Yeah.
And so, it's going to fight its corner. It's going
Yeah.
to try everything it possibly can to pull you back into its corner,
Yeah.
and try and get you to believe that it's true.
Yeah.
And so that's the fight. That's the struggle. That's why awakening is difficult, because, it's vicious, it's ugly, it's incredibly cunning, it's insidious, it's all of those things. And it's
Mm.
going to do everything it possibly can to convince you that it's true and that it's real.
Mm.
But those are exactly the temptations and the trials, the lessons, in other words, that you need
Mm.
to let go of to awaken. So it's actually participating in its own undoing.
Yeah.
The more stuff it throws at you, the more lessons you learn, right? The more you can let it go,
Yeah.
because it reveals
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
And when you see how nasty and cunning and ugly and insane it is, you're just like, oh my God, this thing is just appalling. It's so terrible. I've got to just let this go. Like, I can't possibly choose this.
Yeah.
This is everything that's ever gone wrong in the world, or pain, or misery, or suffering. Yep, that's it. That's the cause.
Yeah.
So, are you going to choose that, or are you just going to choose to let it go?
Mm.
It's a very, very simple choice
Mm.
in the end. And then he just says, yeah, apply it frequently through the day. So, what I would say is, you definitely want to be trying to do the shorter practice periods as well,
Mm-hmm.
because the longer ones in the morning and evening are great. It's more of a deeper meditation. You spend some time.
Yeah.
You really contemplate the idea. You reflect on it. You go deeper. But during the day, it's very easy to lose the plot, if you hadn't noticed, and forget the truth. So the shorter applications are to just like keep you topped up.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like I'm slipping away. I feel a temptation. Go back to the lesson, practice it. Even if it's just for a minute, just think of the idea. I will not forget my function
Yeah.
in the situation, to help you come back.
Mm.
So that's what he's doing with the shorter applications. He's saying you need to do that because it's too long between the morning and the evening.
Yeah.
12 hours or whatever is too long.
Yeah.
You're quite likely to forget, and then you're giving the ego space and time in your mind and in your life, and you don't want to do that. So just keep practicing whenever you feel challenged, whenever you feel like you need to, And, as a default, so I take every 45 minutes, I've got my computer set to take a break. When I go and I take a break, I just remember the lesson. I just go, okay, it's only going to take 30 seconds, a minute.
Yeah.
So I go to the loo, make a cup of tea, and I just go, okay, I won't forget my function. Remember that. And that's all he's asking us to do.
Yeah.
Take a little break, remind yourself, and then, you go back into the flow of whatever you're doing. It only needs to take a minute, and you'll notice in the Telegram messages, in the emails, I've got a minute little script. You can do it in a minute, and then I've given you the breath breaks to do it in maybe 2, 3, 4 minutes, depending on the day. But short, just top yourself up, remind yourself, do a bit of breath work. And if you keep doing that through the day, if you do that every hour, let's say 3 minutes an hour, that adds up, right? That's like half an hour to 40 minutes by the end of the day, plus your morning meditations, which might be 10 or 15 minutes each. Then you've done an hour, let's say, of meditation. So that's an hour in 24. That's a fair amount of spiritual practice. And you just staged it over the day, so that you can keep yourself connected. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to disconnect during the day if you don't have a regular practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I say do the shorter practice periods, with eyes closed. Every lesson's different. So in this case, he's saying, well, close your eyes or open your eyes, but it's so short. The beauty of this is he's asking you to remember one idea.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not like a long thing, a long spiel. So he's asking you just to remember, this is the world is my function to save, or this is the world is my function to free, in alternative language. Just that thought changes your mind, changes your energy, and whatever contradictory thought, let's say ego thought you were having, can be undone by that simple phrase. You just go, okay, so, I just need to let this go because I'm just reminding myself of the truth. So really effective mind training, almost like cognitive behavioral therapy that he's using to help you to learn this in a very disciplined, systematic way. So do the longer ones, morning and evening, but top yourself up in the day as often as you can remember to. Ideally every hour. Again, you can use the tech. If you're working, you can go, okay, I'll just set a reminder on my phone or on my computer. It pops up. Whenever that reminder's there, I take a break. And when I do a break, I automatically do some breathing and I do my lesson.
Yeah.
Very, really, really simple. And then you're going to get in a lot of practice, and that is going to progress your understanding in leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Because you just keep reinforcing and you're not giving the ego any space and time. What he's trying to do is deprive the ego of space and time in your mind and in your life. So he knows that it's always looking for an angle. It's always trying to get in there, always trying to occupy. And then if you allow it in there, it's difficult to get rid of it, right?
Yeah.
It's in there, and now you're in a mood and you feel a bit whatever, depressed or sad or angry, frustrated, whatever the emotion is, more difficult to shift that once it's taken hold. You've now got to do maybe some like a serious meditation. It's going to take longer. So he's saying, okay, look, as these thoughts arise, you get tempted, just practice and let it go straight away. Don't let it settle. Don't let it reside. Don't give it any space and time in your mind. So really a genius mind training program. The longer form, longer meditation, yes. And then you got the shorter during the day, just to keep the ego out, to maintain your discipline, to maintain your vigilance. And if you do this, then you're shutting the ego out. It's not going to have much time and space in your life anymore, which is exactly what the aim is.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of which, shall we finish with a meditation?
Yep, that'll be lovely because then it's my bedtime. So that'll be perfect.
4 hours? Did we start at 5? We did. No, we started 5:30, didn't we?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So let me just turn on some light here. It's getting very dark.
And I'll turn off my audio as well.
Yeah. No problem. Okie dokie then. So this is lesson 64. Just going to do a meditation to close our discussion on it and really try and feel into these words. The idea of the meditations is not so much thinking, but feeling. You start with the thoughts, you let it take you into an experience. So to start that experience, just close your eyes, sitting comfortably with your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight, up your hands in your lap, eyes closed. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose, so breathing in, noticing how your stomach rises and the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Squeeze your sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Draw the energy up the spine. Feel this warm wave of energy rising up spine into your heart center. You can put one hand on your heart to connect with your heart space. Just feel that warmth, that energy, that light in your heart. And then draw it up the spine into the crown of your head. Feel a little tingling sensation up your spine and in the crown of your head. Another sip of air, and at the top, pause at the top of the inhale. So you hold the breath briefly and just consider these ideas. Repeat them in your mind after me. So let me not forget my function. So I will not forget my function. I will not try to substitute mind for perfect loves. And so I choose to let go and be happy. So just be aware of any thoughts, any feelings, emotions, maybe related body sensations that aren't happy, that feel negative in any way, that feel resistant. And just remind yourself that your only function is to let them go. When you let them go, you're going to be happy. So just practice that right now by exhaling. Full exhale out through the mouth. It's blowing all of these away, the breeze of your breath. And gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. Blow it all away. And just find a sense of calm, peace, happiness, joy. As you reflect on these ideas, breathing in and out through your nose, nice, deep, slow, rhythmical breaths. Say, I will not forget my function. I will not forget my function. Say that a couple of times to yourself. Breathe into that, feel into that, the commitment. Expression of your intent, determination to remember your function. We are prone to forgetting our function, so we'll start an affirmation that we will not forget our function. And say, I will not try to substitute mine for perfect loves. not try to substitute my own function that I've given myself for perfect love's function. So we've given ourselves a purpose and a function here that has nothing to do with perfect love. So I choose to let go of all of this, all these games I play, to deny my function, to deny my happiness. Right now, so I choose to let go of all of this. Breathe in on that choice, feel into your heart, your mind. Your energy system. So I choose to let go and be happy. Just surrender into that choice. Happiness is not something you seek or find. Happiness is what you really are. I have a sense of just sinking into that happy self, this happy state that is your true state, your true nature, your true identity lies in this happiness. And we call it happy or happiness. Words are really inadequate to describe. There's nowhere else to go. Nothing else to do. Just breathe, relax, and be still. Breathing in and out through your nose. Sinking deeper and deeper with each breath. Into this lovely, still calm, peaceful presence within you. you spend a few minutes in this deep silence. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still, and any thoughts come up and seemingly unhappy in any way, just notice them, breathe into them, and remind yourself that I will not forget my function. I will not try to substitute mine for perfect love's. I will not try to substitute my own thoughts for perfect love's thoughts. So I choose to let go and be happy. Choose to let go and be happy. Just exhale and let go of whatever the thought is, blowing it away with the breeze of your breath. Let go and sink inwards deeper and deeper with each breath. This lovely, peaceful, calm, relaxed state. Silence in which words aren't necessary. This just this pure presence or awareness which is naturally peaceful. So just gently coming back now. It's an awareness of your body and the breath. senses in the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. And seeing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale. Smile, scan your mind. So just noticing any thoughts, any feelings, emotions going on in your mind still. It's okay, anything that feels at all negative. Remind yourself that I will not forget my function. I will not try to substitute mine for perfect loves. So I choose to just let go and be happy. Just expel as you exhale. Breathe all of this out like a dark cloud or a black smoke. Visualize it as such, just going, gone. The breeze of your breath. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. The bottom of the exhale. Expel the last remaining air out. So you're completely empty for a few moments. Notice on the count of 2, the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling, your hands touching. And on the count of 2, just breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises, the chest rises, clench the sphincter muscle. So used to contract the flow here and squeeze the last drops out. So notice what you're feeling, touching, subtle flow of air in through your breath as you breathe in. Maybe there's a subtle sensation in your nose, a smell in your nose, a taste in your mouth. So just anchor all these states back in, these senses. Notice what you're feeling, touching, tasting, perhaps smelling, hearing. Finally, count to 3, you're going to open your eyes. So just take a moment to look around the room. Just take a minute to ground yourself back into this apparent reality. Remind yourself as you look around that I will not forget my function. I will not try to substitute mine for perfect loves. Choose to let go and be happy. And then as you look around, just add in this final thought. Look around the room, say to yourself slowly, this is the world. It is my function to free. As the world is my function to free. And notice how you feel when you say that. As the world is my function to free. Anchor that state in. Feel it in your heart. Feel the coherence of this thought system, the integrity of it. It's your body, your mind, your spirit are all in alignment. And this is a state, internal coherence or integrity that you want to stay in for as long as possible. So if you need to practice the lesson to help you stay there, then do that. If you're going straight to bed, then just stay in this lovely free state and set the intention to carry this into the morning and tomorrow. And so it is. So be it, or amen. Which brings us to the end of the meditation and of tonight's session, I believe.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Martin.
Yeah,
Oh.
I am off to bed.
Oh.
It's my
I
bedtime.
feel like I'm not going to do this work to do, but I might just go, okay, I'll go to bed and do it early in the morning because
Yeah.
after
No, well,
meditation.
I'm an early riser anyway, so my habit is to go to bed early and get up early.
It's probably sensible.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll enjoy it, sleep well,
Yeah,
and
thank
I
you. No, that was a
will.
great session. I really enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
no, really, these
Yeah.
sessions are really engaging and interesting, and
Mm,
I love them. So,
mm.
not really work for me, although
Yeah.
it's technically, but it's spiritual practice. I've made my work into spiritual practice, which is great.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yes.
I'd do this if I weren't paid, but it's nice to get something for it as well. So appreciate that, and I'll see you on
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
5 o'clock.
Wednesday evening.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. So Kim and
Okay.
Elaine are going to be joining us
Yes.
as
Great.
well.
Yeah.
Maybe Bakung as well. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Might
Brilliant.
be three of
Okay.
them. All right.
Hopefully, because I've got the same, because Mondays and Wednesdays afternoons are my spiritual mastery
Yeah.
lessons with Mind Valley. So today's one overran. Fingers crossed. Wednesday's one won't. So it should make it at 5 o'clock. But
Just join us when you can. Yeah.
yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
Just
Yeah.
do the expression.
Yes.
Generally goes on for at least half an hour to an hour.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
join
Yeah.
us when you can.
Yeah.
Okay. See you
Brilliant.
then.
Okay. Thanks then.
All
Bye.
right. Namaste. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so that is a wrap for today. Thank you to Archie for joining. If you've been watching the live stream or the recording, you can do a couple of things to go a bit deeper into this. If you liked what you heard and saw, why not subscribe to the channel? You'll be notified by YouTube whenever I go live, which is 2 or 3 times a week at the moment. So get that completely free and notified by YouTube. If you'd like to go a bit deeper, then why not go to lifebuild.com? You can see that in the slide in the background. Just type in lifebuild and then a .com into your browser, or you can click or tap the link below in the comments box on YouTube. It's also there, and you can sign up to our Telegram group, where I send out a daily free inspirational quotes, like the one you saw at the beginning of the video, some comments on it, which I've made, often some of the mind training material, other quotes, maybe a bonus video or two from a teacher like Eckhart Tolle or something like that, which helps you to learn the quote more deeply. And then that leads us into our mind training lesson from A Course in Miracles, which is a new workbook lesson every day. There's 365 of them. So you can then practice that as well as meditate on it. So I give you a short mini meditation or breath break to help you practice the idea for the day, frequently through the day. All of that is freely available, as well as invitations to join these live sessions in Zoom. I'll send you the times, the dates, and the Zoom links, so you can actually join us in person if you would like to. So all available freely at lifebuild.com. Check it out, and hope you'll subscribe and join us in the group, and maybe in one of these live sessions, who knows. So hope to connect with you soon. Thanks for listening and watching, and namaste, which means the simple truth in me. I think today's lesson was really about simplicity. The simple truth in me acknowledges and honors that same simple truth in you. I'm wishing you much love, peace, and joy in that truth.